I'm so upset. Oh my God.
Let's see how Earth responds to that.
Drop it. Power panel, old school style. Decided to go with it today for fun. Joining me is Sharon Reed and Mark Thompson, two of our favorites. Sharon's on Indisputable all the time. She's on Rebel Headquarters. Mark Thompson, of course, does the Mark Thompson Show on YouTube, which you got to check out. Nothing but
I'm
love
just glad Cenk is free today, my friends. I am. I have solidarity with him.
Yeah, I haven't been banned in LA yet. Okay, so guys, huge show for you ahead. We got the explosive Graham Platner story, which kind of exploded on itself, and on the New York Times. We'll get to that in a sec. And then AI data centers beginning to influence our politicians and our national security folks. And now, so if you criticize data centers, the government might be tracking you. There's a couple stories about Israel, of course. One is about this propaganda campaign they're doing in the military, very open about it, frank about it. Another one is about an open and frank influence to effort to influence AI companies and ChatGPT, et cetera. Kind of remarkable admissions in public on tape. So we'll get to all of that in a second. But let's get started. Let's start the first story.
This party's got to look in the mirror. Do you want to sign off on the Donald Trump standard of behavior? You got some other people who have very bad behavior in the other party. Is that now our standard in this party, or is it not? And I think people are gonna have a tough choice in May.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think it's tough at all. I think that that's actually what Van Jones said there as part of a propaganda campaign against Graham Platner. And New York Times had a spectacular flop of a smear that they did against him last night. We're gonna show it to you. We're like, we're gonna get Graham Platner. By the way, we're also objective. And they failed miserably. So Sharon's gonna tell us all about it and we'll come back and talk.
Yeah, they really tried to do a number on Platner. Cenk, the popular progressive challenger running against Republican Susan Collins for one of Maine's Senate seats, made headlines last week when a former staffer, Janine McDonald, leaked private communications between herself and Platner's wife, Amy. Amy revealed to McDonald that her and Platner had undergone counseling after she discovered flirtatious texts between him and other women. She was concerned how that might affect Platner's campaign, the wife was, which she is an enthusiastic supporter of. Amy expressed feelings of betrayal regarding McDonald's decision to leak the text messages and said in a video over the weekend this: "No marriage is perfect, and I don't want a perfect marriage. I want my marriage, and I want to be married to Graham." New York Times with the quote there. McDonald had resigned from Platner's campaign after damaging statements he made over a decade ago online resurfaced. However, this week, the New York Times decided to chronicle more allegations against Platner, reporting that in extensive conversations over the past 2 months, 3 other women who have been romantically involved with Platner offered a far more complicated assessment describing volatile and toxic relationships that were unsettling and at times emotionally wrenching. So
Okay, Sharon froze there. I'll take it from here, and then we'll bring Sharon back in. So, so central to the complaints about Platner were that Lindsay Fifield, if I'm saying that right, and I probably am not, asserted that the most troubling allegation when she claimed, quote, Platner regularly grabbed her by the shoulders, sometimes hard enough to leave marks, and on one occasion yanked her out of a cab by her wrist after an argument when she wanted to stay in the car. Now, is that true? We'll come back to that in a second. She also said during one argument, she recalled he twisted her arm behind her back, shoved her into a bedroom, and held the door closed from the other side so she couldn't get out, telling her to remain there until she was calm. Eventually, Fifield, I don't know, Fumfield said she fell asleep and left the next morning. So did he actually do that? Well, Graham Platner went on Chris Hayes' program and said absolutely not. He said, look, all the things about me not being great in relationships, which by the way, there wasn't that many of in this article, we'll come back to that too, are correct. He's like, but the being physical, absolutely not true. And so there's a good reason why I think you should believe Graham Platner. Again, we'll come back to that in a second. But Fifield told the Times that she didn't expect corroboration from friends, and she was embarrassed by the events so she refrained from telling them. By the way, she's now criticizing the New York Times and saying that she felt like she was set up, that the story was received so poorly that she feels like the New York Times had promised that they had other women that this had happened to, and there really weren't. Not really, there weren't, period, right? So that's super curious, but the materials reviewed by the Times did verify that, as they claim, that Fifield characterized the relationship as abusive. Also worth noting, quote, Fifield, who's affiliated with independent women and conservative groups, insisted that her political beliefs had nothing to do with her choice to come forward. She worked briefly on Nikki Haley's 2024 presidential campaign, and before that for the Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank. Ms. Fifield says she had not been paid by any campaign or political entity since Ms. Haley's campaign. So now Graham Platner's campaign said, let's be very clear, this is a lifelong GOP operative who's dedicated her career to electing Republicans. Now, before we get to who she actually is and what kind of an operative she is and who she actually worked for, last couple of comments here. Out of 24 people interviewed for the article, there were an equal number of women who spoke glowingly of Platner. Caroline Lemp, who dated Mr. Platner for several months in 2013, described him as a gentle giant. She said he never made her feel unsafe or showed any signs that he was struggling with the physical or mental effects of his military service. And he was a great boyfriend, said Lemp, 36, who now lives in St. Louis. He was super kind and very nice and fun. So now, as we discuss this, let's clarify a couple of super important stuff. Number one, New York Times went and interviewed, as far as we can tell, and I think they said it in the article, they tried to find every single person that Graham Platner dated. They also tried to find every person that Susan Collins dated. No, they didn't. But Janet Mills, who was in the race as his primary opponent, they went and tried to find every boyfriend. Oh, no, they didn't. But they did for a lot of people with a lot of power. No, they didn't. No, they targeted Graham Platner. They tried to find something wrong with him. They couldn't find a single other girlfriend who had any issues with him. They found many girlfriends who had glowing reviews of him. A lot of them are still friends. They found one person who alleged physical abuse, okay, and concern about the tattoo, this so-called Nazi tattoo. Well, it turns out Fifield is not only a GOP operative, she was the founder of a group called Ladies for Kavanaugh. Let that sink in. So she was saying all of the allegations against Kavanaugh of sexual assault from other women should not be believed, and that they were outrageous. Now that apparatchik now turns around and makes a claim against a very popular Senate candidate who's currently beating Susan Collins by 9 points. And then her friend Bethany Mendel, oops, makes a mistake online and lets people know that Fifield was also the original anonymous source that leaked to Jewish Insider that he had the tattoo. So now, if we're not done yet, one last piece of this. She was among the people who wrote the notes for Susan Collins on what to say about Kavanaugh to make sure no one believed the women in that case. So she directly worked with Susan Collins to defeat a kind of operation that she now appears to be a part of. Now, I don't know, they did actually date. I don't know what's true or untrue, although given this background, it is nearly impossible to believe her. And no corroboration, no backup, one GOP operative who is connected to Susan Collins. Come on, what is this garbage, this trash? That's my opinion, but let me bring the others back in. So, Mark, let's start with you. First, your take on the New York Times story.
Well, it's clearly a hit job. I couldn't agree more with everything you've said. It's incredible to me. I read it in the Times as it was coming out, and it couldn't pass the smell test. I mean, it just was weird how all of a sudden the dating police are going from woman to woman, or woman to woman who even have said they've been involved with Platner. At some point, you have to kind of take their word for their degree of involvement with him, and then just believing whatever is served up. It's such an opportunity to do a hit job on someone. And I think you frame it so perfectly when you suggest, hey, while the scrutiny of Platner, as it turns out, all the falsehoods, or it seems demonstrable frauds concerning Platner, when you don't really investigate any others this way. The whole thing is garbage, and we've got to get out of this, again, the marriage police. I don't know if he was sexting or not. I don't care. There are marriages where people are swingers. There are marriages where people aren't having sex. There are marriages where people get off on this kind of thing. Again, I just feel as though this is the purity test, and this is the craziness that comes up around these campaigns. And you're right, this is an out-and-out hit job.
Yeah, so Sharon, it's kind of curious how many people are participating in this hit job. I mean, today again, 2 other Democrats came out and attacked Platner on CNN. I've never seen so many people from the Democrats attacking their own in my lifetime. And of course, there's also the context of, now if it was an establishment Democrat, you vote blue no matter who, and you're not allowed to attack them at all. So what in the world's going on here, you think?
Well, what's going on is he's enemy number one. He's the most dangerous man in politics right now, popular progressive, an insurgent progressive. I wouldn't be surprised if the GOP and centrist Democrats were on a party line, dictating the coverage to the famed New York Times on this one. Clearly a hit piece. And Mark's right, does not pass the smell test. And for anyone to hold up, look, I agree with Mark. I don't care. I don't know what's going on in his marriage. Don't gross me out. Not my man. Could care less. But look, we have somebody at the top who has a filthy history, a filthy personal history. And we need to decide what the standard is, okay? If it's one way for filthy at the top, and then this candidate who happens to be wildly popular, and we can't even ascertain if all this stuff is true, and his own wife is flagging, hey, listen, I just want to put this out there so we can be ready for it. I don't understand what we're doing here. And why all of these people are chiming in as if, we've got this standard that Van Jones and his disgraceful butt is talking about, when we don't. I just want to know where he stands on the issues. And apparently that's the problem, because a lot of other people do as well.
Yeah, I think that what Van Jones was saying and what a lot of these people, especially on the left, Democrats, are saying are completely disingenuous. So, Democrats have to prove themselves by taking out their own popular candidate. Why? Why do they have to do that? And to Mark and Sharon's point, sexting, what is this? Why would I care? So look, there's a reason why you could care. So if Donald Trump says, I grab women by the genitals without asking them, and then a woman comes out and proves that he did, and well, you go, okay, well, it's not I'm worried about the assault part, right? But Donald Trump cheated on his wife, so what? JFK cheated on his wife like 1 billion times. Like, that's not our concern. That's his family's concern, and that's a super important issue for them. It is not an issue for us. Breaking the law is an issue. Doing assault is an issue. That's why the charges about grabbing her shoulders and putting her in a room. And then the New York Times made it seem like he locked her in the room, and then in the next sentence says, then she got up in the morning and left. So was she locked in, or did he just escort her to the room? It doesn't matter because I don't believe any of it. And so now that leads to the other question. Today, US Representative Madeline Dean, a Democrat from Pennsylvania, came out and said it's disqualified himself. And on this trash, I mean, all of social media is talking about how this is more embarrassing for New York Times than it is from Graham Platner, because this was an obvious hatchet job and a failed one, a total miserable failure of a hatchet job. So then you should ask the New York Times, why? Why are you targeting them? But then, to me, the bigger question is Auchincloss, a Democrat, Dean, a Democrat, Cory Booker, a Democrat, Van Jones certainly on the left, all coming out, and there's others too. Oh, Graham Platner, our candidate, must be defeated. What? So what's going on here? And my sense of it is, I don't know that they're coordinating with the Republicans, as Sharon said, but guys, I mean, here, Sharon, I'll go back to you. It just feels like someone made a decision. I mean, because these Democrats almost never go on TV. If it was like Ro Khanna, that brother's on TV all the time. Okay, I get it. Bernie goes on TV. Like there are people who Lindsey Graham from the Republican side goes on TV all the time. But when people who never go on TV all of a sudden rush onto TV to attack one of their own, it feels coordinated. Are you sensing the same thing I'm sensing?
Absolutely. Roll call. Okay, we need more members to get out there and denounce this guy immediately, because this whole progressive thing has gone way too far. And Janet's sitting on the sidelines there, and we said that was our candidate. And how dare he? We've got to defeat this now before this infection grows. That's actually what I think is happening. Both sides, of course, Susan Collins, whatever, the Republicans are going to do what they do, and perhaps anyone would do it. But this, I think, is a stronger attack from within. His own party is doing this to try to tamp down this popular movement.
Yeah.
I also don't know if it's a politically viable strategy. I just don't. I mean, that's how desperate they are. They've hitched their wagons to something I just don't think could actually work.
Yeah, no, that's the other amazing part. And last thing is, I did a longer video about this yesterday. You can check it out on our YouTube channel. But Harry Enton did this segment on CNN that I thought was unconscionable. He did it, a couple of days ago, where he was going to ostensibly show how much Graham Platner was hurting the Democratic Party, both in Maine and nationally. Except the polling shows what Mark is talking about. The polling has actually gone up. He's up between 5 to 9 points now, and every time they criticize him, he goes up further, right? Because it's a cue to people, oh, he's a real person, and the people in power hate him. So now American people are wisened up, and they're like, oh, thanks for letting me know I'm voting for Graham Platner, right? But what Enton did was he showed Google searches went up by 275% about Platner. So what? That's not good or bad. What does that mean? That doesn't prove anything. And he said, oh, the betting markets have him going down from 70% to 59%. And he's like, and that's too close to call. That's within the margin of error. No, it's not. Okay, first of all, it's not a poll. And if anybody should know that, it's Harry Enton. It's betting odds. Second of all, Mark, you're a gambler, and so am I. Would you take 59%? I'd take it and run to the bank, wouldn't you?
Of course. For sure, yes, I agree.
That is not too close to call, okay? So it's weird that they're saying this. And so there's some level of coordination, and it looks like it's media, Republicans and Democrats. Last question then is, why? Why are Democrats trying to defeat their own candidate? I mean, is this the old school Bernie versus Hillary type of stuff? And if a progressive wins, he embarrasses us by actually trying to do something, and the rest of us don't want to do anything. And this guy's going to push us in the Senate like Ro Khanna's pushing everybody in the House. Is it he's opposed to Israel? He's opposed to this, he's opposed to that. Sharon, what do you think?
All of the above. And I'm going to be honest with you, I really do believe that it is exactly that. They cannot allow this to catch on and keep going and get stronger. The other thing is, listen, the history is what it is. Progressives, outspoken mavericks like this are traditionally very difficult to control. They can be brought to bear sometimes, but it takes a lot of capital. They have to expend a lot of capital, the Democrats and the centrist part of the party, to keep these people in line. And I think that's absolutely what this is about. He's not going to do what they need him to do if and when he gets there. And so they have to make sure, give it their best damn try, that he does not ever get there.
And especially over things like he was involved in relationships that were emotionally wrenching.
Right.
Has anyone not been involved in a relationship that was emotionally wrenching? I mean, and look, we can get into other Democrats. Bill Clinton, awkward, and everybody supported him. The Democrats did certainly. Gavin Newsom slept with his best friend's wife. I mean, you want to talk about toxic? But again, I don't care. That's their business. That's not my business. That doesn't involve the government. So, Mark, last thing is your theory on why they're doing this.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty indisputable that he's someone that they can't corral. They feel threatened. Otherwise, you just wouldn't see this repudiation in the way that they're all showing up en masse. I mean, there are a couple of examples, I guess, I think of AOC, who was really a free thinker, really outspoken, leaned in, made a lot of noise. I mean, Cenk, you know the situation with AOC better than any of us. And eventually, though, take some positions along the way where you feel like, oh, she was corralled on that by the machine, They, on some level, do evaluate to the degree to which they can corral these people. And clearly, there's a fear that he's a free thinker, and that may be a problem.
I think Mark's absolutely right. Both of you are. I mean, and that is why his numbers are going up in the polling. People want someone who the establishment can't corral. So thanks for letting us know. Okay, so there you have it. All right, when we come back, Chris Van Hollen, a Democratic senator with a conscience. Is that possible? Turns out it is. And so, although the story is infuriating, we'll be right back with that. Ladies for Kavanaugh.
Liked beer, still like beer.
All right, back on TYT. Let me go to these comments on TYT.com, but I'm reading in blind. These are all members. Bubba Franks, the Sword Dragon, says, here's to hoping that the evidence of election interference coming predominantly from one nation is becoming so overwhelmingly obvious that even people that aren't paying attention see how creepy it is. Of course, I'm sure you're referring to Russia. Killjoy or Paraguay. Killjoy 100 says, if none of this stuff sunk Trump, why would we care about Platner? He did way worse stuff, referring to Trump. And by the way, it's the people who said, that what Trump did is no problem at all, are like, Graham Platner, it's a disgrace. Like, politics oftentimes is a bit of a joke. Emitib2, God, I'm so bad at reading these handles. Corporate power over our government is not going to go quietly. The panic is obvious with attempted smear campaigns against any progressive that threatens to actually work for the voters. Dragon with a flagon says, Susan Collins, I'm sure he's learned his lesson. Oh wait, that's forgiveness is reserved for a pig in the White House. Oh, you're right. Susan Collins did say that about Donald Trump. She doesn't seem to be saying it about Graham Platner. Kelly K says, CNN has been obsessed with Graham the past couple of weeks. It's beginning to get creepy. They're like a creepy stalker ex-boyfriend who can't take a hint. So yes, CNN hates Graham Platner. And as we told you, whenever the establishment is challenged, all of a sudden the differences between Fox News, CNN, and MS Now will totally disappear, and they have disappeared. By the way, MS Now has done several segments against Graham Platner. What happened to the left? Hilarious. We'll be back. Ladies for Kavanaugh.
You ever played quarters?
All right, back on TYT, Cenk, Mark, and Sharon with you guys. Also, these wonderful people, Dono, Utesfan, 25, Make It Stop, Megatron, Schmeebeast, 23, Baseman 007, and Jay Claffey. You guys are awesome. Thanks for either becoming a member through tyt.com/join or donating through that. Believe me, we'll take either. During the breaks, commercial breaks, I read the comments of TYT members, and you get to see it if you join through tyt.com/join. Okay, I want to save you guys some money. This is a huge development. This is as good a deal as you'll get. Noble Mobile is now giving away 3 months of coverage for free. 3 months free. That's Andrew Yang loves to give away money. Okay, so he's doing it again. They're on T-Mobile's 5G network. I've had perfect service since I did tyt.com/switch. Nothing on your phone changes. You can't pay more than $50. They give you money back for data. They're gonna give you money back for data even in the months that are free. That's crazy. So you're getting double the money. So it's amazing. Definitely jump on it now. tyt.com/switch before the offer goes away. All right, let's go to the next story.
This has to change. I am really sick and tired of the Israeli government, the Netanyahu government, taking American taxpayer dollars and then mistreating Americans.
Well, that's Senator Van Hollen, Democrat, and he's actually fighting back against Israel. I hope you're sitting. And he's trying to get an American back that they basically kidnapped. Will he have some success? Actually, he's done it once before. We'll tell you about that as well. But there are many times where the Israelis have greatly mistreated Americans where we have gotten no accountability at all. Which one is this case? Well, let's find out. Sharon, tell us more.
Yeah, Cenk, another US citizen detained by IDF forces in the West Bank for no reason. The only US politician brave enough to talk about is the aforementioned Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen. So the entire situation started on Tuesday after 5 women, including 3 students studying at Birzeit University in the West Bank, were arrested without explanation, one of whom, 20-year-old American citizen named Samaya Safai. Let's hear more from Senator Van Hollen, and then we will get into more of the finer details.
Just yesterday, 4 students, all women who attend Birzeit University in the West Bank, were seized by Israeli security forces. One of them, Sama, is an American citizen. Israeli security forces came to her home at 3 a.m. in the morning and just took her without explanation. She told them she was an American citizen. They didn't care. I talked to her mother, also an American citizen, shortly after all of this happened. She was absolutely distraught. She told me that her daughter has a medical condition that needs treatment. The Israeli government, the Netanyahu government, needs to tell everybody why they seized these students. And our ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, and Secretary of State Rubio, who always tell us that their #1 priority overseas is to protect American citizens, need to make sure that Sama is immediately released.
So the senator there, Sama, was one of 5 women, as we said, detained by Israeli forces this week. 3 of them current students at Birzeit University. 1 graduate of the institution. Among those arrested were 2 members of the Palestinian women's national football team, Natalie Abu Dia, age 20, and Ran Halawani, 20. The other 2 were Julian Abu Awad and graduate Layla Nail Khalil. The raids came in the early hours of the morning, Tuesday, and according to Sama's father, we were surprised, even shocked. We never expected the raid to be for her arrest. When we asked why she was being arrested, the officer and the soldiers would only say, "You'll find out in court." IDF soldiers demanded the identity cards of Ahmed, his wife, their daughter, before informing Sama that they had an arrest warrant for her. The soldiers then ransacked Sama's room, confiscating her phone, laptop, personal belongings. They also seized photographs of her cousin Izer Safi, who was killed by Israeli forces in 2024. Now, according to her family, Sama was then taken downstairs. She was handcuffed, she was blindfolded, placed inside a military vehicle. The reasoning for their arrest is unclear. The charges remain unknown. The only thing the IDF has said, according to the Times of Israel, is that the women were suspected of promoting terrorist activities and additional terrorism-related activities. That's it. As Senator Van Hollen noted in his video, Sama does have a medical condition called familial Mediterranean fever. It is a chronic inflammatory disease that requires medication. The quote, "We are extremely worried about her health. Without her medication, she suffers from high fevers, body aches, other debilitating symptoms. The disease causes an autoimmune attack, and if the medication is ignored, it will cause serious liver and kidney damage." Of course, no one in the Trump administration, nor anyone in mainstream media, is talking about Southeast detention. Only 2 senators have spoken about this. The first, obviously, being Senator Van Hollen. Earlier today, Senator Peter Welch posted this to Facebook. Sami Safi is a student at Birzeit University in the West Bank who has chronic health condition, is the latest American citizen detained by IDF forces without explanation. Israeli authorities must ensure her safety and immediately provide her with access to her family, legal counsel, medication. Senator Van Hollen, Senator Welch were the ones leading the charge, demanding accountability for Israel's detention and abuse of Mohammed Ibrahim, along with Representative Kathy Castor. Following their advocacy, Ibrahim was released in November of last year following a near 10-month detention. Sama's family has since learned she's being held at the Al-Maskubiya interrogation center in Jerusalem and has her first court date set for next Tuesday. If not for these 2 senators and want to post there the video, Jank, I don't know if we know where she was right now, if her family would.
Yeah, no, so the issue of this particular woman is obviously super important, especially because she's sick and she's an American citizen. But I think that the bigger issue is how the Israelis treat America overall. So we give them 3.8 billion, let alone the 21 billion under Biden, the 13 billion under Trump, with over 300 billion, et cetera. So when we ask, hey, why did you arrest our citizen? That should not be an optional question. No, I need that answer right now. In the United States, several United States senators are asking right now. They say, oh, you'll find out in court. If I was the president, I'd be like, no, I won't find out in court, because here's what's gonna happen. Every day that you don't give me the answer, I'm going to minus $100 million from your $3.8 billion. But hey, take your time. Or you know what? I'm a little annoyed with you because you never ever do anything we want. So I'll make it $100 million per hour. Take your time. But somehow the idea of threatening Israel's funding, which is the massive leverage we have to get them to do what we want, is unthinkable. Why is it unthinkable? No, arresting our citizen and not explaining it, that's unthinkable. But if you think that's bad, look, they had arrested Mohammed Ibrahim. He was a 15-year-old kid at the time he was arrested. He also got sick in their gulags, got scabies. Sounds like a disease that pirates get, but Israel's brought it back. Okay, I'm kidding. That's a different disease, but the kid did get it. He lost a tremendous amount of weight, was super worried about his health. And again, no charges, no court date, no nothing in his case. And then when they pressed and pressed and pressed, finally the Israelis are like, he saw someone else, some other kid throwing a rock. So good enough, terrorist. No, not good enough, not terrorist. And the person we worked on it with Operation Hope. Our volunteers are amazing, but we were a very small part of it. Senator Van Hollen deserves a tremendous amount of credit. He got that American kid back, but we didn't get a lot of people back. 14 Americans have been killed by the Israelis in recent years, 13 of them since October 7th of 2023. Rachel Corrie was, of course, killed by an Israeli bulldozer earlier in 2003. Here, let me show you the folks who've been, the Americans killed by the Israelis. And that includes an American journalist, Shireen Abu Akleh. She's also Christian, not that should matter. And here's the interesting part. Let's go to graphic 8. To date, nobody has been charged or held accountable for any of the deaths of US citizens at Israeli hands. That's from The Guardian. So wait, Israel, let's just talk about the 13 killed since 2023. Israel killed 13 Americans and didn't arrest a single person for it. Did Huckabee or any of our governments, did Biden, did anyone ask that these people be arrested? That nobody was even investigated, let alone charged, let alone arrested. So that means that Israelis can literally murder American citizens and we won't even ask for justice. That's so insane. Last one. Look, I give you a million, but Tom Alexandrovich, another case, never covered by mainstream media. The murder of these American citizens, other than Shireen Abu Akleh, never covered by mainstream media. They think, oh yeah, that's normal. It's normal for our allies that we fund to murder our citizens and not be held accountable. No, that's not normal. That's super weird. Then Tom Alexandrovich is a national cybersecurity official for Israel. He was at a cybersecurity conference in Las Vegas, and he took that as an opportunity to do sexual tourism to rape American girls. He got caught, luckily before the rape happened, arrested with other 8 Americans. Those 8 Americans are in prison. Alexandrovich on the first plane out to Israel. We got to get him out of the country. We have to protect them. He's a precious Israeli. So when they do crimes against us, there is zero accountability, whether it's in Israel or in America. So what the hell is this? What kind of an ally is this? All right, I'll start with you, Mark. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think even as you said, I mean, the reputational harm to Israel, as any number of institutions can reflect, is substantial. I mean, it's not just limited to this. It's Israeli policy in Gaza. It's Israeli policy West Bank. It's Israeli policy in cahoots now with the Americans in Iran. It just seems as though there are serious issues. This is apart from this American that has now been taken into custody. And so I guess what I'm getting at is, even if you take out everything Cenk's talking about, which is the funding and the leverage and this kind of thing, if you just concern yourself with the alliance, again, that supposedly exists between Israel and America, I just think that it's a harder and harder sell from the standpoint of sharing goals and protecting your allies. And so to this situation, I mean, clearly this is an activist, and any activism of this sort is punished most severely in Israel. And as far as getting the American back, it's just absolutely extraordinary to me. I mean, this is an exceptional situation from, as I say, an American ally, and then you add in the fact that this is an American ally that we basically support, and I'm dumbfounded by it. And I love that you made the example of the Biden administration as well, because I wasn't aware that. I hate the idea that the election doesn't matter. They're all the same party. You know, I think the election very much matters, and who's in power and who's mobbed up the government does matter. But it's worth noting in relation to this story that even the Biden administration couldn't get a foothold on getting an American free. So it really leaves me downcast. I mean, I think it's a deeply, deeply disturbing pattern.
So Sharon, we have a lot of weird situations here. So look, if it was an enemy, everybody gets it, right? Like if Russia had murdered 13 Americans, we might be on the brink of World War III, right? If the Chinese had done it, we'd be giving them a 200% tariff. But even an ally, like if Turkey had randomly murdered 13 Americans in 3 years, people would lose. If France did it, we'd like, why are the French murdering Americans? That's so strange. And why has no one been arrested? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And look, we have to be honest, there's a second angle here, which is, why does the American national media not care? That's really weird.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to go, to show you how brave Senator Van Hollen is, the only one perhaps who will speak to camera about this. If you were to go into Google and just search, I don't know, Sama and CNN or MS Now or anything else, look at what comes up. Not a damn thing when it comes to mainstream media. You better be afraid, and that is precisely the point. They are letting you know, run your mouth, we can disappear you, and even your own country's not gonna back it up. They didn't account for one brave senator here, Van Hollen, right, and Welch, but the one who spoke to camera. Be afraid. I mean, it is chilling. When I put the search in, I looked all day, I had on the cables all day, just doing what I do. Nothing, because you know what? She does not matter. There is this threesome between Israel, the US, our politicians, and of course the mainstream media. And thank goodness, one guy decided, one elected official decided, I'm gonna speak to camera on this. It's stunning.
Yeah,
I'd say one other thing, Cenk, and that is that U.S. senators are very powerful people, and this is an extremely powerful position. We're used to hearing from Rubio and hearing from the president, but a United States senator who can't get movement on this, that's another thing. It just leaves me breathless. It's shocking, and I'd be very surprised if this situation continues on the one hand, and then I would be completely unsurprised if it continues on the other.
Yeah, and let's keep it real on one other aspect of it. So one of the 13 that were killed was a white Christian, and in that case, the Israeli government relieved someone of command, I believe. And whether they got their position back later is a different question. But there was a tiny bit of action there. No one was arrested for killing Jacob Flickinger. There was no consequences outside of that, but tiny bit of action there. The others are Muslim Americans. Basically, a second thing our government is saying is we're bigots and not all Americans are equal. So if you're Christian or Jewish or Buddhist or whatever, I don't know. I don't know if they've got it ranked. We might care about you, but if you're a Muslim American, you don't count. If you're killed, we're not going to care. And if that was true of any other religion, I would hope that everybody would be incredibly outraged by that. But since Muslims in this country have absolutely no power, our media ignores them, ignores their deaths, even when they're Americans. And by their omission, they're basically saying collectively, CNN, New York Times, all of them, we don't care about Muslim Americans. We don't care about them at all. You can kill them, and we don't think it's newsworthy. We don't think it's noteworthy that an ally has killed 12 of them in the last 3 years. That's super weird. At least Flickinger was covered because he was part of a bombing where they killed some people who were going there to deliver food to the starving Gazans. Last thing is, we do have a petition on Alexandrovich, and we'll put the link down below. It's to extradite him and bring him back here to face justice. So I don't know if we're ever going to get justice, but Sama is lucky in that Senator Van Hollen is one of the best legislators in our entire country. He's absolutely heroic, and if I was in trouble, I'd want Van Hollen on my side. Peter Welch and everybody else chipping in. It's wonderful to see that there are actually real, politicians who represent us. That seems stunning that any of them exist, but they do. So we appreciate Van Hollen and Welch on that. And let's hope we get our American back, but we probably won't because it's Israel. And so it appears they are above the law. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. And when we come back, we've got a lot more stories for you guys, including, oh boy, yes. Unfortunately, they're in the news a lot. The Israelis are targeting the AI companies so that they have a different version of reality. Oh boy, when we return. All right, again, I'm reading these blind. Let's go to Super Chat. 00083 says, Cenk, the majority of Democrats that are in power right now are imposters and sellouts, and they are desperately trying to keep the real Democrats out of power, in my view. That's indisputably true. So, they have a variety of different donors that they report to, but bottom line is they love the donor class. And if you challenge the donor class, whether you're Bernie Sanders or Graham Platner or Ro Khanna, they're gonna come for you. And I think Mark is right. I think that they stopped challenging AOC altogether the minute she stopped challenging the people in power. And it was very telling. So anyways, good luck with her, remake, remodel, rebrand, whatever she's doing. Grimior Weiss says, watch how this war delays yet again. GTA 6 FF7 remake part 3 gets delayed, and we still haven't heard anything about KH4. It's really funny. I have no idea what any of those letters and numbers mean. I assume it's video games. Rosa Roscoe says, like and share TYT family. Thank you. Like and share the stream. Absolutely like and share every video if you can. These are super easy ways to help us. Hit the I want to say red bell, which is hilarious. I know it's not red bell. Okay. Okay, anyway, that bell down below in the video, Mark will know better than me. Mosquito balls, which is already funny. A YouTube member says Trump will drag this war as long as Putin dragged on the Ukraine special operation. Nomad Bloom says, all right, I'll say it. Who gives a F? He was sexting with someone else. Yeah, we all say it. Who cares? That's not our business. Mark Francis says Democratic Party would rather lose in Maine than win with Platner. 100% true and proven so. All right, Mark, what is it? Ring the bell, right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the notification bell, right?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. This is the bell, but. All right, back on TYT, Cenk Uygur, Sharon Reed, who's on Rebel HQ, check her out on YouTube, and Mark, who's on The Mark Thompson Show. I don't know how he got a sweet gig on The Mark Thompson Show, but he did. Okay, that's up on YouTube.
Pulled some strings, but we're right here. You got me started on this YouTube thing, so you take responsibility.
Sorry, to you, let alone YouTube. Okay, all right, let's do the next story.
AI is now becoming the dominant source of information, the main source of information. Over the past 2 years, the AI companies have been moving towards alignment. So instead of the algorithms sort of honestly representing what's in the data, we're finding that these chatbots and the text-to-image models are increasingly showing us exactly what the companies want us to see. Okay, so it's becoming intentional, which means that instead of trying to control the whole world and trying to somehow manage what's happening in this big blob of Wikipedia and social media, we can go directly to the companies with clear technical and advocacy solutions. For the first time, there is a path to correcting the digital world.
Wow, she just said it. So they're going to correct the digital world and give their version of reality because they can go directly to the AI companies and manipulate what you are seeing to change reality. Now, who is she and who is she talking about? Well, I know it's tough to figure out, but we're gonna tell you. Sharon, let us know.
Well, she's a doctor, Cenk, I'll tell you that. Her name is Maya Ackerman. She was speaking in front of the American Jewish Committee. She's a professor and entrepreneur who focuses on AI. And earlier this year, Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, made similar comments. Watch.
We're in regular contact with the major AI companies, and I'm proud to share making a difference. For example, last year, we showed OpenAI how its new video generation AI tool, Sora, made it easy to create anti-Semitic videos. We worked it out with them, laid out the facts, and then 9 months later, when version 2 came out, Sora now refuses to generate videos around several of the specific concepts that we discussed and shared with OpenAI's team.
Jonathan Greenblatt there. Let's pivot from AI to the media. This week, Danny Danon, Israel's ambassador to the UN, called for a list of any podcast hosts who speak with anti-Semites. Listen.
I want to share a story. I hope the cameras will not record it. But I got a phone call during the war from Tucker Carlson. He called me and he told me, Ambassador, can you please take me off the list? And I was shocked. I told him, what are you talking about? He told me, I'm being attacked by the Jews. So maybe you have like a list. Can you take me off the list? So I waited for a minute and I told him, Mr. Carlson, we don't have a list. You are being attacked because you're spreading lies, blood libels against our soldiers. My son was in Gaza when he called me that day. I told him, you're spreading anti-Semitism. You're hosting anti-Semites. So you're being attacked. But you know, when we finished the call, I thought to myself, no, maybe we should have a list. Maybe it's about time we put a list of those who promote anti-Semitism online, of those who are hosting anti-Semites on podcasts, and fight back.
So we'll end with this, pointing out that according to 972 magazine, an Israeli outlet, the IDF is running influence operations inside the United States of America. The piece is titled Revealed: Israel's Curriculum for Influencing Public Consciousness. And it reads, Israel's defense establishment is training soldiers and other defense officials to conduct psychological operations designed to influence public consciousness in Israel and abroad. An internal defense ministry tender published last July, obtained by the Israeli investigative outlet, The Hottest Place in Hell, reveals soldiers and officials are offered numerous classes. One course teaches participants how to plan information operations for the purpose of influencing public consciousness in the local and international arena, including how to craft and disseminate messages tailored to a target population, assess their impact, apply the lessons to future operations. Some courses are taught in English for foreign partners. Those partners are not named. For these participants, the Defense Ministry built a dedicated syllabus. It includes study of the American approach, meaning US perspectives, cultural norms, conducting influence campaigns in the international arena. We have covered many other examples of Israeli government-funded psyops on the show, Jank. None of this is surprising. The fact that we're getting these just admissions, very loud, very proud. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, so I'm surprised they're admitting it on air, but that is the height of arrogance. But let's break it down. Okay, so first of all, there's two layers to this. Should they be doing this if it was actual anti-Semitism they were combating? And what is it that I think that they're actually combating? I'm gonna say, even if it was real anti-Semitism, no, you shouldn't get to go to the AI companies or the other companies and say, I'm banning things. Now, why do I say that? Because I'm in favor of anti-Semitism? No, I always think shoe on the other foot, right? So if I had, let's say that I stayed Muslim and I have all this power and my background is Muslim, right? And you said to me, you can get the AI companies to ban any criticism of Muslims. I'd be like, no. They say, okay, but only unfair, bigoted criticisms of Muslims. I would still say no. No, if we start banning things, there's a whole host of problems. Number one, you ban it, it makes it a little bit cooler, okay, in some ways. It makes it dangerous and a rebel thing to say. Who cares? Say the stupid thing and then we'll defeat it. And as a person who grew up Muslim, billions of terrible things are said about Muslims in this country. And you know what happens? Like, yeah, it's terrible, it's propaganda. And since there's so few of us, it's really hard to be able to fight back, etc. But it's not like American society collapsed. It's not like every Muslim was killed. It's like we have to have some degree of freedom in this country, even to say terrible things. And it's a First Amendment issue. It's just a flat out First Amendment issue. You gotta be able to say it, no matter which religion it is. Now, that's in a best case scenario where they're actually trying to fight anti-Semitism, but I don't think that's the case at all. Almost every single instance is defending Israel against legitimate and accurate criticism. But they say, oh, no, it's all tropes. But wait a minute, 972 Plus magazine is an Israeli publication. They have found documents that are showing you that the IDF teaches people how to influence Americans and Westerners, and by the way, also Israelis, their own population. And they go, that's a trope. You can't say that the Israelis are trying to influence America because that's saying that Jews control, blah, blah, blah. No, we're not saying that. We're saying a government, a foreign government is trying to influence us. Would any other government, if they could, the Brazilians, the Turks, the Chinese, would they try to influence America? Of course they would. You'd be crazy not to try to influence the largest power so you could say it about everyone else, but because of the trope idea, you're banned from saying it only about Israel. That's absurd. That's absurd. So there they are. Greenblatt is the #1 person. I don't know, he's tied with Nick Fuentes for the person most driving the conflation between Israel and Jewish people overall. So we say to Fuentes and we say to Greenblatt, don't say all Jewish people. Don't say it's about Jews. Did nobody call Jewish people and ask them if they should do this operation of the Mossad or that operation of the IDF? But every time Greenblatt's like, no, you have to say it's about Jewish people. It's about Jewish people. Stop, you're making it a billion times worse. Now they're going around going, we have direct contact. You don't have direct contact with AI companies, but we do, and we have regular contact with them all the time, and we influence them. And guys, when you start talking about influence, there's a giant range, right? Influence is on this side, control is on this side. And you can call it different things. You can call it influence. That sounds like, oh, well, big pharma influences, Israel lobby influences. I keep using my own ethnicity, Turkish lobby influences. They suck at it, but if they could, would they do what Israel's doing? I think almost any country would, okay? Now, but the crime is not on them, it's on us. Why is our AI companies, why are our politicians, why are our media going along with this nonsense? But no, you're not allowed to criticize. I mean, no one would know better than me. I literally got banned from a country for criticizing Israel. All right, I have a lot more to say, but Mark, I'm curious about your thoughts on this.
I thought that was actually a very fair-handed breakdown, the one that you've just given. I have to give you that because I think that it's easy to kind of get lost in this, in the fever over Israel and over the Israeli lobby. And I think what Cenk has just said about, look, every country lobbies, all these different constituencies lobby. I think what makes this lobby different is that it's so successful on one level, but there is a fact that Cenk again has laid out, I thought very fairly, which is if you could, and I think there are constituencies to which you've referred, like the Muslim community, et cetera, that does reach out to AI controlling corporations and does reach out to the internet search corporations of the world to say, hey, this is being misrepresented, even in Wikipedia pages, et cetera. So there are all kinds of perversions of truth, as everyone in the Muslim community certainly knows. I mean, after 9/11, it was a feeding frenzy around the Muslim population, and it was of America I'm talking about, and then worldwide. So I guess that they are reaching out to these companies doesn't bother me on one level, in the sense that I think everyone is reaching out. It's the way that and I'm with you on the free speech. It's sort of the way that these companies are made to heal. I think that is disturbing. I don't know to what extent ultimately it'll be effective. I was mentioning earlier in the show, I think there's been a lot of reputational damage to Israel. So I think protecting the Jewish community to the extent that they want to do it is a laudable goal. The way they're getting to that goal is maybe perverse. And again, I thought your breakdown was fair. The last thing I would say is, if you question whether there are other lobbies that are effective in America, you can look at academic institutions. You know, the Qataris and many of the Gulf nations fund a lot of universities to the tune of $15 billion last year. So it's not as though there are no other voices that are laying a lot of cash on major institutions, both academic and media in America. So again, I understand it's a front and center issue. I think Cenk breaks it down appropriately and even-handedly here today. I was really happy to hear you do it that way.
Sharon, what's your take?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a fundamental difference, though, between lobbying, influence, and indoctrination. And what they're doing is trying to indoctrinate. It's not that I mind the outreach to AI companies, which, Mark's right, a lot of people reach out. It's that they're getting through at the highest levels and they're getting action, the exact action that they want. It's not enough to capture public officials. It's not enough to, make sure that we go and do an unjust war. Now it's, I need to shape public opinion. I need to reach out to every man and woman who is perhaps engaging with chat or Claude or whatever it is. And that's scary. They're trying to take over and indoctrinate an entire society where there won't be any free thinking, at least not when it comes to the official position of the Israeli state.
Yeah.
So the last thing, Cenk, I would just say is that money really leads this, and that's one of the reasons, as you know and have pointed out before here on TYT, that's why this lobby becomes so very powerful, and it's why, as I was mentioning, the Qatari money directed toward academic institutions, you have to look where big chunks of money are going, because that really ultimately in America carries the day.
Yeah, so that goes probably to the effectiveness as well, because I agree with Sharon, right? So I agree with both of you because Mark's right, and Asian American groups are also gonna reach out and be against Asian American discrimination, et cetera. They might not be connected directly to a country, but they're gonna try to do that. Sharon's right, are they going to be effective? Sometimes, but we've seen the Israelis be far more effective. And so, and yeah, I don't mind saying Israelis because I'm over the last 3 years, I haven't seen Jonathan Greenblatt defend Jewish Americans. I've seen him defend Israelis. And I think, in fact, I think he endangers Jewish Americans the way he talks and conflates them with the actions of a government. But here's a fact to give you a sense that we're not just assuming effectiveness. In another video we showed you at a different time, these type of groups bragged that 94% of the time that they complained to Facebook to take down something that was anti-Semitic, in other words, critical of Israel, Facebook took it down. 94% of the time? No, that's outrageous. Okay, so, and by the way, it depends on the context. So China often tells companies like Facebook, you're not allowed to do this, this, or this in order to protect the Chinese government. And in China, they are very effective. In other places, sometimes in Myanmar, when there was a ethnic cleansing there, the government is sometimes effective, and it breaks your heart to see social media companies go along with them in those countries. But this is our country. So like the censorship here on behalf of another government is extra unacceptable. In fact, that's the main thing that's unacceptable. It's not academic, it's taking away our freedom. And finally, on the Israeli ambassador's comments, number one, I don't believe him that Tucker Carlson said, why are I'm being attacked by the Jews. Even if he thought that, Tucker Carlson is sophisticated enough that he would never say that to the Israeli ambassador. So that is almost certainly a lie. And I have seen Tucker talk about this both in person and on tape a million times. He's never said the Jews, so that doesn't ring true at all. But the more interesting part of that was, he said, maybe we should make a list and then punish those people. Well, first of all, there is a list. There's organizations like Canary Mission, StopAntisemitism.com. They make a list. I'm on the list, so I know there's a list. And by the way, lo and behold, I get banned from the United Kingdom. It's a coincidence that I'm on that list? I don't think it's a coincidence at all. There definitely is a list. And the person who runs that organization went to the Israeli embassy, again on tape, and said, yeah, anyone we think is criticizing Israel in the wrong way is going to be punished by us. We're gonna haunt them. We're gonna try to get them fired. We're gonna go after their families. We're gonna make sure that if there's a Google search, they're labeled an anti-Semite and that their lives are ruined. Well, they're admitting it. They're admitting it. And what if we did a counter list? Now think about how scary this sounds. Oh yeah? Well, I think the Israeli ambassador is right. We're gonna make a list of people who are pro-Israel and we're gonna punish them. How does that sound? That doesn't sound very good, does it? Does it sound any better when the Israeli ambassador says Israel's gonna make a list of Americans that are gonna get punished for criticizing Israel? All right, look, I know we're short on time, but quick reaction to that, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's way out of bounds. Way out of bounds. I mean, the lists of any sort are the beginning of an undoing. I love the free speech handle that you started with when we began this conversation, and I think sadly, and I say sadly because I think there is a lot of anti-Semitism out there, and there are the Nick Fuentes of the world out there, and you can even read a lot into Tucker Carlson. But I just think back to after 9/11, the way there was this tremendous, this raucous attack on the Muslim community in America, and I think that it's just a way to frame the conversation around Israel and around Judaism, and so I think the Jewish community does feel on some level put upon. So I get the legitimacy of that. But I think sadly, many of these lobby groups, AIPAC and the rest, represent less and less the Jewish community and sadly defending Israeli policy.
Yeah, and by the way, to that point, I'll give you my favorite stat that I've now said, I feel like hundreds of times, 63% of Jewish Americans are against the current government of Israel. Are they anti-Semites? Should they be put on a list? This is getting absurd. Sharon, last thought.
Well, I think there's a difference between debate convincing and capitulation. And that's what we're seeing too often with AIPAC and others, or like the Israeli ambassador said, I too don't believe that Tucker Carlson ever called him up and said it, or at least not like that. But this is where we are. And it's against that 63% and against a higher percentage of Americans who do not believe this any longer. And the message is still breaking through regardless.
Yep. All right, guys. So I did promise you a story about the AI centers starting to do the same thing: influence, manipulation, control. Of course. Why wouldn't a corporation try to buy off our government? Unfortunately, we'll have to do that next week because we're out of time here. But we got Brett and Elliot coming in, and they have some amazing stories, including a Lego scandal. and wait till you see what the guys contributing to the ballroom got in return. All right, everybody check out The Mark Thompson Show and Rebel HQ. Great to have you guys with us, and we'll be right back.
Anti-Semitism.
What contributions to the progressive cause are you most proud of? I mean, I don't have super high aspirations for a singular role that I can play in the movement or anything. I try to present myself as what I think that I am, which is a progressive man who is driven by a, I think, well-interrogated and well-organized system of values that I try to stay consistent on, and I demonstrate that that's the sort of life that a person can lead and be successful and be happy and all of that. And that should not need to be done, but there are so many people on the right that are trying to push men in the opposite direction that I want to be able to do that. Along the way, if I can get people to care about some topics that they wouldn't necessarily care about, or that for some men they might think that's not a topic that they should be focused on, that's definitely something that I relish doing. And along the way, I mean, we've been able to introduce people to a lot of candidates. That's been a big part of what we've done. Not all of them necessarily got in office. Probably most of them did not. And a lot of them you might not even remember their names. But it was great to be able to provide people the platform where they had the chance of, making a difference. Obviously AOC and all that, but there's been a lot of great people along the way.
In the bonus episode for the members, we do some inside baseball. We're gonna look at John's desk. Nice little spaceship here. Nerd. But it is kind of look cool. Who has Legos? Oh no. He's taken apart a keyboard. Who has a mouse pad that's this big? He's got a dog with a nose that you can hang something on. You know what this desk screams to me? Nerd. And that's how we like him. We love Johnny Pie. He's got his own personality like everybody does at TYT. Come meet us all in the bonus episodes. TYT.com/team.
David Sorrell, Anita Turner. Adam Green drop by.
Charlemagne.
Congressman, great to have you. It's great to be with you, Chang.
Your show is a great thing. You're informing people. A lot of the shows that I live on, my CNN, my MSNBC, and even Fox, and any of the other shows, NPR, they are so quick to decide that they know what this building means today.
The one thing that I hate that politicians do, they talk about the people they should be talking to.
Do they have any idea that they're the establishment and that they're hated, or do they not realize that at all?
People are so deeply in their little universe. I think it's very easy to not really question what you're doing.
Voters have a right to ask questions of any nominee, whether they're independent, Republican, or Democrat.
The system is duopoly that suppresses competition.
How is it the year 2024 and we're still like, maybe they'll talk about paid medical? Like how is that like at one level it's like, look at what we're talking about now. You're like, it's 2024.
And that's always been the critique, that your critique of us is, well, you guys give good speeches, you put out good tweets, but you're not wielding actual power. Now we're starting to.
My favorite news platform by far. It's not even close.
It's about a country and a principle, and that's what you and I both work to achieve, and I'm so glad that at least half the battle has now been won.
If you want to go really hear what's going on, honestly, you should tune into the Young Turks.
Thanks for doing such a great job. Please keep it up. Hang tough.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy.
Oh, I like making you happy.
I didn't know about that.
This is a happy Anna Kasparian. You're welcome, YouTube.
Join the Dragon Squad by becoming a YouTube channel member. Click the join button below or sign up on tyt.com/join to get access to fun emojis, a member-only chat, exclusive shop TYT designs, ad-free watching, and so many other amazing perks. Plus, you get bragging rights for being part of the coolest community on the internet and help us drive real positive change in the world. The Dragon Squad awaits, so join today.
Wealthy Muslim.
Drop it. All right, power panel, old school. And here we are in the studio. All right, Brett Ehrlich, programming honcho here, as well as host of Happy Half Hour and just about everything else. Elliot Morgan, host at Rebel HQ and oftentimes here. So great to have you guys. We're gonna do some amazing stories for you. I was gonna promote something else. I forgot it. Oh no, I'll tell you two things real quick. One, I'm super proud of Indisputable. Its 5-year anniversary is today. So everybody check out Indisputable, 2:30 p.m. Eastern every day. It's live on YouTube, live on tyt.com. And Dr. Ritchie has done amazing work. He's got over 1 billion views. So everybody check out Indisputable. I was on the show today. And you can buy our Banned in the UK t-shirts at shoptyt.com, shoptyt.com. All right, first story.
We're making a gift to the United States. They came along and they said, we want to make it the White House overall more secure. And I understand that. Not for me, because I'll be gone, I'll be gone and you'll have somebody else in for hopefully hundreds of years. But that's what they're doing it for. The ballroom is paid for, it's a gift.
Is it a gift or do they expect something in return? Well, wait till you find out how much those companies giving to the ballroom got in return from our government. To tell us that is Elliot.
All right, well, according to an analysis by Public Citizen, corporate donors to Trump's White House ballroom have received $50 billion in government contracts since the East Wing was demolished. We currently know of 27 corporate donors to the ballroom. What we do not know is how much they actually donated, but it would seem that over half of those corporations got a pretty sweet deal on their investment, so good for them. 14 out of 27 corporate ballroom donors have received new or increased government contracts over the last 6 months, totaling over $50 billion. So most of that money went to Lockheed Martin, which landed over $43 billion in government contract money, but guess what? Don't worry, there's more corruption where that came from. Most of the corporate donors, 16 out of 27, are facing federal enforcement actions and or have had federal enforcement actions suspended by the Trump administration. These include major antitrust actions or merger reviews involving Amazon, Apple, Meta, Microsoft, NextEra Energy, Nvidia, T-Mobile, and Union Pacific. Labor rights cases involving Amazon, Apple, Caterpillar, Google, Lockheed, and Meta, and SEC matters involving Coinbase and Ripple. Also adding to that list are some other donors you may or may not have heard of. There is BlackRock, great. Comcast, little startup, and everyone's favorite company, Palantir, thank God. Now, here's how a White House spokesperson responded to Public Citizen's analysis. The same critics who are alleging fake conflicts of interest would also complain if American taxpayers were footing the bill for these long overdue renovations. The donors for the White House Ballroom project represent a wide array of great American companies and generous individuals, all of whom are contributing to make the people's house better for generations to come. Okay, thank goodness, because for a second there, it seemed a little bit corrupt. But now that they told us that it's just insane for us to even think that, I feel much better. And also the fact that they got super defensive and condescending about it gives me a lot of comfort. Cenk, what do you think?
Yeah, so first of all, let's note for the record that there's a classic Trump job, right? Destroy something and then try to figure out how to fix it later and then ask for credit. So that's Trump 101. Now, guys, we often point out coincidences when it comes to powerful lobbies. So here we go again. Now, is it possible that Lockheed Martin would have gotten another contract in that 6 months anyway? Yeah, it's definitely possible. They're a giant defense contractor. I get it, right? But so these guys put in collective $400 million, we think, and about half of them, so let's say about $200 million. They put in $200 million, those 14 companies on average. And then they get back 50 billion. Do the math on it. Is this complicated? And at the same time, federal enforcement actions are suspended. Probably a coincidence. And that's what drives me crazy about our media overall. Less so in this story, because this one's so over the top and doesn't really involve any other institutional players as much. It's just mainly a Trump thing. Oh, I like these guys who want a big ballroom. Oh yeah. Oh, they got problems. We make their problems go away, right? And we'll give them more. But is it worth it to us to build out ballroom? Because it turns out it's not going to cost $400 million. They asked for another billion that we pay for, and now it looks like we're paying another 50 billion on top to the guys giving the money to the ballroom. No, it's not a coincidence. It's massive corruption. Brett.
It's crazy. Yeah, we had a ballroom. That's the thing that's so crazy about it. I feel like my parents, like, don't you have a ballroom? I'm not gonna get you a new one, stop asking for one. So he just destroyed the old ballroom and made it so that there is now an opportunity to make him a new one. And both ways you look at it, it's nuts. Like, they're just asking for donations. It's just gifts. It's like, guys, gifts are bribes. That's what gifts are. Like, there are many, the word gift is in many anti-bribery laws. I could say emoluments, but I don't want to confuse you. I love Palantir, by the way. Palantir, thanks for watching everything.
Huge fan.
A huge fan. Thanks for huge fans. They watch everything. They watch
already watching.
Yeah, they're watching sleep. But like, yeah, that's nuts. And I love that they were like, oh, but no, it's not the taxpayers. It's not that. Look at that. We got censored on the over-the-shoulder B-roll. But it's like, it's not that.
Palantir's like, oh, you want to make make fun?
Yeah, it's exactly.
Lights just went out.
They just flexed. But yeah, like, whether you look at it as $50 billion or all that money in donations, which they're not just doing it out of the goodness of their heart, or if the taxpayers are paying for it for reasons still unknown to me, like, oh, we need to make it more secure in the ballroom. It's obviously just like everything that is so, it's puzzling because it's like, that's kind of what his pitch was. And everybody's like, oh, Trump, we love Trump, we love him. Why do you love him? Describe him. Well, he's the guy that's gonna try to make millions of dollars however he can, whether it's corrupt or not. In this case, it's just so damn corrupt that even I was watching with Sean Ryan was saying like, I'm out. A lot of people are like, they're out on this guy, and that's the only silver lining as far as I know.
Yeah, I feel like my episode with Sean Ryan didn't get enough credit because this is a hilarious thing to say, let's note for the record. Megyn Kelly went on and they quoted Sean Ryan saying all these things against MAGA and Trump and all stuff. When I was on, he called MAGA people that are still following Trump the R word. Right?
Yeah.
He's like, what are they, do you not have eyes? Do you not see all the things that are going wrong? How he's listening to all the, every donor there is and he's massively corrupt? Yeah, this is not complicated, man. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out.
Yeah, I also think that even if you, like you were saying earlier, Cenk, even if you can't necessarily like pin down that this is a result of them making those donations, whether it's correlation or causation, it still speaks to how the American public is like hyper aware right now of just how much corruption is going on, and that's what's going on in their imagination. And so them trying to backpedal and pretend as though there's no reason to even think such a thing blows my mind. It's just another example of them being like, yes, we believe you're all very stupid, basically.
Ew. Like with Trump, we have him on the phone being like, I am losing by 11,000 votes. Can I have 11,001 votes? Like I watch The Sopranos and it's always like, can I get the coffee delivered in pounds to the guy with the shirt. That is like, and they're like, oh, I guess we can't lock you up. But like Trump is actually saying, I want you to give me money for this stuff. It's gonna be donated to me. Meanwhile, like the corruption is insane. On Rebel HQ this week, I covered the story of all the corruption, the Sean Ryan stuff that he was talking about. But like the lengths of the corruption that they go for corruption, the Trump kids have a drone company. They're getting contracts to sell drones. Their dad's in charge of whether you still need drone interceptors because his dad's in charge of whether the war will continue. And to make matters worse, to incorporate that company so they could do business, they merged a drone company with the only other thing they really know, a golf course company.
Kind of beautiful.
It's beautiful. A golf course company can make drone interceptors because of how corrupt America is right now. It's disgusting.
No, to be fair, they're practicing on the golf courses. They've murdered 13 people so far, mainly the back 9.
A whole new definition, the bunker.
Oh, okay, but yeah, those bunkers aren't going to help you from the drone. All right, look, last couple of things on the corruption. To Brett's point, Eric Trump's company got $1.5 billion contract from the government. Imagine if Hunter Biden's company got a $1.5 billion contract. Don Jr.'s is arguably worse. He invested 3 months later, they got a $620 million loan, okay? So where's our loans? I mean, imagine if I went to the White House, I'm like, yeah, I'd like a $620 million loan. Sure, yeah, I'm gonna make drones, right? I'm gonna make them after you give me the $620 million because I don't have the money now. None of us have the money to make it. If any one of us got $620 million, then we can make all the drones you want, right? So this is insane corruption. And by the way, the donors to the ballroom might also get plaques. I don't want a plaque of Lockheed Martin in the ballroom and Miriam Adelson, that's another potential donor, and Pfizer. This is an ExxonMobil inside the White House. Come on, man, it's totally nuts. Okay, we got to take a quick break here. When we come back, Pam Bondi throws someone in the Trump administration under the bus. Drums, as the kids used to say 12 years ago. We'll be right back. All right, back on TYT. We'll have fun keeping our streak going of reading these blind. Okay, no, I actually got some here. User ZLX and a bunch of numbers says, amazing how Democrats got behind John Fetterman and defend his trash Israel first position, but Platner is a problem. And of course, as some of you also noted, Fetterman was out there, of course, attacking Platner. Gee, I wonder why. Javier Nahar says, moderate Dems are conservatives. They would rather elect a Republican than a leftist. They're afraid to change. That's absolutely true. And so, as we discussed in the first hour, Graham Platner, yes, he's not taking AIPAC money, and that's a huge problem, and people are attacking for that. But remember, this also existed when Bernie Sanders was not taking corporate PAC money, and they all attacked him, including the moderate Democrats. So this is a well-known phenomenon where Democrats hate their own, especially if they're honest and clean. The Expat Life 76, back to reading them blind. We had management of the company that were terminated because they invited the chain of command to a dinner and footed the bill. One of those fired the on-site finance guy for covering it up. So the point there is, like, a microscopic version of the ballroom corruption gets you fired in the real world. But if you're the leader of the free world, the leader of the country, yeah, go ahead, billions of corruption, who cares? Rebel Dragon says they just want to get rid of all the algorithms that are showing the facts about the crimes of Israel. That's referring to the story from the first hour. I think that's indisputably true. Grilled Hot Dog says, careful, Cenk, you might get banned from another country. Well, next week I am going to a different country. We'll see if we make it or not. I don't want to tell you what it is because I don't want to give them a heads up to ban me ahead of time. We'll be back.
The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. I don't know why you're laughing.
I don't know, because Brett and Elliot are on the show. Okay.
Busted.
And they're funny. All right, back on the Young Turks, Cenk, Brett, and Elliot. Here's our next story. Oh, that's you, right? Me?
Listen, here's what I think. I think we should just, first of all, cut. Let's run it back. You're doing the hooks, and then you're tossing to this guy.
Because I thought it was only videos. This is our second day doing it this
I
time.
love the new thing.
Yeah.
I used to just stop when I was presenting. I'd be like, I'm going to start over, and I would point there.
Yeah.
It's live. Deal with it.
Yeah, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do it live. Yeah. So here, come back to me. Okay. Pam Bondi beginning to throw other people in the Trump administration under the bus. Wow, I like it. Elliot, tell us all about it.
I mean, that was an incredible cat paw there. In a closed-door congressional interview with the House Oversight and Reform Committee regarding the Trump administration's total bungling of the Epstein files, Bondi appeared to distance herself from the controversial investigation. Who wouldn't want to? In her opening statement, Bondi defended the DOJ's handling of the investigation, but passed the buck to her then deputy, Todd Blanche, by saying that he led every aspect of the department's probe into Epstein. It was his fault. Don't look at me. It was the other guy. As reported by The Guardian, Bondi claimed that he was in charge of the process and the entire release of the Epstein files, she told lawmakers on the 29th of May. In her opening statement, she also said that she did not conduct that document review myself, and told the panel that she delegated oversight over this process to Blanche. Like any good supervisor, it's just best to blame whoever is beneath you and just kick it down the road a little bit. She further acknowledged that there had been redaction errors and some other missteps during the investigation, but she did maintain that the investigation was largely spearheaded by Blanche. So, take that how you want. This prompted Representative Robert Garcia of California to say this.
It is clear in just this part of the interview that she continues to push all of the investigation and the blame on acting AG Todd Blanche. She said, and I quote, "Acting AG Blanche was managing the entire investigation," end quote. And what you're going to hear in that interview, and what she's saying here in her words and remarks, is that it was Todd Blanche, the current acting AG, that was leading the Epstein investigation. And quite frankly, all of the mistakes that we saw, the redactions, not protecting survivors, she continues to push that back onto the acting AG, Todd Blanche, who, by the way, was Donald Trump's former personal lawyer.
Well, Pam Bondi wasn't gonna take that, and so she decided to shoot back on X with the following. Not true. I praised acting AG Blanche's management of this Herculean task. I said his ethics are beyond reproach and that he is an incredible attorney general. Just look at the Dow. She didn't really say that part, but anyway, still some speculate that her closed door framing of Blanche as the one who oversaw the investigation could be, in essence, retaliatory. Blanche has been elevated to acting attorney general after Bondi was fired by Trump over her mismanagement of the Epstein case. It should be noted that she vehemently protested her ousting at that time. Her testimony with the committee comes at a time where Trump is publicly considering making Blanche's appointment permanent, which undoubtedly salts some lingering wounds for Bondi. Fortunately, she's so well adjusted, you could hardly tell. However, the most compelling argument for this being an act of retribution is Bondi's statements about Ghislaine Maxwell, otherwise known as the Trump administration's favorite little prisoner. Blanche, who had met with Maxwell privately about the Epstein files, ended up coordinating her transfer to a nicer prison. Only the best for the Epstein accomplices. This development was something that Bondi apparently learned from after the fact by the press. Asked whether Maxwell should receive a pardon, Bondi replied, no, adding that Maxwell was a monster. I believe she should die in prison, said Bondi. Publicly characterizing Maxwell as a monster might seem obvious and uncontroversial. I think if you have a working brain or eyes or ears, you could probably agree with that statement. But coming from a former Trump cabinet member means it carries a slightly different weight. Blanche will likely be placed in a potential career-ending position by Trump, who might have the DOJ proposition Maxwell to not further implicate Trump in the Epstein probe in exchange for a pardon. Okay, good. I'm glad we got the corruption out of the way. Although not stating that as a reason exactly, Trump has long floated the idea of pardoning Maxwell, and there's a good chance that Blanche will get caught up in the crosshairs. Having Bondi outspokenly reject the idea of a pardon mounts the pressure on her former colleague to either side with his boss or the bipartisan efforts of Congress to satisfy the public's outcry for accountability on this issue. An interesting development, to say the least. Cenk, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so they got to break it down in a couple of ways, but first let's have a little bit of fun. Brett pointed out Summer Lee to me in the background there.
She's Jim from The Officing that whole time.
Yeah,
she's just like, if we can go to B-roll for that first the video of Garcia, it is insane, dude.
Yeah,
she just cannot be effed.
Yeah, to me it was like resting please face.
Yes.
Right. Please.
Like, it wasn't scary, but it was like, okay.
Okay, it was just a little bit of fun. Another fun game is have Michael Schur identify every congressman in that video. But anyways, that's another one of our hosts. All right, let's get to serious stuff. So is she doing strike back? That one's pretty clear. Yes, no question about it, right? But then there's a second question, which is it true? Is Todd Blanche the main guy who's helping Trump with the Epstein stuff, including Ghislaine Maxwell, and that he was the one saying, do this, do that? Now, I think probably is the answer, but does that provide any mean that Bondi does not have culpability? No. First of all, you were in charge, and whether it was your subordinate or Trump telling you to do it, you did it. You're the one who covered up the Epstein files, so you can't escape responsibility that way. And second of all, you were letting your subordinate give you orders, not exactly strong, right? So, and third of all, Pam Bondi is one of the most corrupt people in the country. That's why he picked her in the first place. So back in the day, she was Attorney General of Florida. The other attorney generals were investigating Trump University, which is a fake university, and a Trump charity. I forget which one was the university or the charity. They were both fake, and a bunch of attorney generals were investigating it together. Bondi said she was going to investigate it too. Then Trump sent her a campaign check, and she dropped the investigation. She was picked not despite her corruption, but because of her corruption. So is she part of this motley crew? Of course. Right.
Yeah, no, I trust that Pam Bondi is absolutely throwing this guy under the bus and trying to keep her hands clean. I've watched Big Brother, I know how this works. She doesn't want to have blood on her hands. She wants to deny it. Oh, no. Do you like that information about Pam Bondi saying essentially like this guy was in charge? Like that's a leak. That's got to be a leak on purpose to get this guy to feel bad. And it's amazing. At the end of the day, we still don't have the Epstein files, and we want them. And it's possible that we have a war raging in the Middle East, at least in part, to distract us from the fact that we don't have the Epstein files, and very important people in the world and the White House, like absolutely, positively are very grateful for every moment they don't have to talk about this. And the result is actually that all of the news is wildly horrible, because occasionally, like I forgot about the Epstein files, so I guess it worked. Occasionally I'm reminded that like not only were the Epstein files not released, but like the Todd Blanche is now in many ways free to continue hiding them. Like we really took the person who was, it seems, according to this report of Bondi, the person most responsible for me not seeing the gross stuff and letting him cook. And he's cooking at the highest level of the Department of Justice.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because when I was reading the story, I was like, it's so like they're framing it, regardless of whether it was Blanche or Bondi, there's a framework where they keep being like, well, back then, that whole Epstein file thing, that's totally done now. You don't have to worry about anymore. It's in the past, but yeah, it's not. Like we haven't gotten all of the Epstein files, and they kind of throw out these little like qualifiers of like, oh well, yeah, maybe there were some redactions and there were some mistakes or whatever. It's like, well, where is it then? Like fix those things first. We're still in this. I think that there's a rhetorical kind of flourish that they're doing to make people forget that this is still an ongoing thing.
Yeah. So there's one thing that she said in there that I thought, oh, that's interesting, right? The part about the Ghislaine Maxwell, because it was kind of gratuitous. Like she'd never said that before, even when she was Attorney General, and she's supposed to be the person like bringing them to justice, right? She leaves and she throws this, rolls the hand grenade back into the room, like, because that made me think she knows something we don't know, that Blanche and Trump were probably thinking of being more lenient / maybe pardoning Maxwell on the way out. And she's like, good luck doing it now, right? But trust me, they will. Like, I don't know that they will for sure. I'm not like making a prediction about it. I'm just saying that her saying that isn't going to stop them. Like, they don't care. And the reason why Todd Blanche might have gotten more direct orders from Donald Trump is because he was his personal lawyer. Like, I mean, I remember when, was it Eisner who ran Disney? But what I do remember about the story is that he put all of the people he knows personally on the board of Disney, and it became like a joke. I think he put his dentist on the board. Okay, really? Yeah, and that's going to be like Trump by the end. Well, and he almost did it. I mean, Bill Pulte is some like weirdo lackey who's now the head of housing and the head of national intelligence, right? The dentist is not far behind. So, and it doesn't really matter if it was Blanche or any of the other Golden Girls. At the end of the day, the fish rots from the head down, right? So Trump is the one ordering the corruption.
Yeah.
And whatever grenade that Bondi throws back is not going to work.
Do you ever get, like, I get tired of having to like figure out how I'm gonna call out the corruption, like in ways that'll make sense, because it's like really so obvious.
It's like being shot in the face with a paintball gun, and you're having to just constantly like wipe it. And be like, okay, well, I think what you're doing is wrong.
But like, it really is bad.
Yeah.
Like, it's so horrible. When we run the B-roll of like the photos of Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, Trump, and Melania, like when Trump first was elected, I remember. I think I referred to it as like he's just going to be a fart smell, and we're going to get nose blind to it. Yep. And that has happened. Like, thinking back to the things that would have gotten people out of office before and still take down other politicians than him right now. Like, all of this corruption, Epstein files, starting wars, the billions of dollars in handouts to his family. I feel terrible. And the worst thing is like when you see people finally like give up and be like, oh yeah, I now, like the guys in the manosphere, comedians being like, oh yeah, now I get it. I'm like, how am I supposed to accept you in the full? I get it, I'm going to. But like next time, can you just look at me and be like, yeah, you seem like you had you were onto something there. It's it's a really tough position for the responsible to be in.
Yeah, now at the same time, Brett, there's the MAGA that has stayed with them, that's the impenetrable guys who are like, oh, no, when we said drain the swamp, we meant give your sons billions of dollars in contracts and $50 billion to the guys that are helping you out with the ballroom and make sure that you protect the pedophiles who are with Epstein, right? So they're still saying that, but those guys at this point, if you still haven't gotten the memo, you're pretty unreachable, right? But good news, they're very small, well, in terms of winning elections, they're too small a percentage of the country, about 25% roughly, right? But the other 25% that voted for Trump, the manosphere, et cetera, they're like, yeah, bro, we have eyes. Like, we're generally bros and we agreed with you on the social issues.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so worried about drag hour or whatever the hell, right? But we didn't tell you to go rob the place, right? And so they're calling him out. That's why his popularity is in the tank. But Brett is absolutely right. We got used to it. We should things we should never get used to. If Obama was like, oh yeah, the worst groomer in American history, Ghislaine Maxwell, I'm gonna give her a club fed room. She's gonna get to run the place, use DoorDash, play tennis all day, bring in pets, stay up after everyone else, including the warden, has to go to bed. I mean, like, what is this? I mean, a tan suit? He eats his burgers with a mustard. They criticized him over that. I mean, they would have eviscerated him for this. And we often forget, oh yeah, they're giving giant benefits to Epstein's main co-conspirator, and they haven't prosecuted a single other person related to Epstein.
My favorite thing about the Ghislaine Maxwell thing was the words "nice prison."
Yeah.
Is it really, like, imagine going, whoa, what a nice prison.
Yeah. Like when you walk into a hotel room and you're like, oh,
minibar. Oh, look at that. Robe. This one's got slippers. Well, slippers.
Yeah, and you remember Epstein's first sentencing back in 2008, sentencing, was they're like, yeah, you're going to prison for not a long time, a very short time, but it's not really prison because you'll get to go home during the day.
Amazing.
Is that a thing?
Does he have to call timeout first and then he gets to go, like, all right, time in?
So wait, he's just sleeping there, so it's like a not great hotel. Oh, wow, we got him. Okay, one more story. Oh, that's me, one more.
Dude, I love it.
Here we go. All right, so you remember Doge? They were gonna bring us so many goodies. They were gonna get our money back and they were gonna bring diseases back that were devastating and destructive. Wait, were they supposed to do that? But good news though, they cut out all the waste, fraud. You know what? Nobody's getting money for genocides anymore. The Pentagon is totally under control. They're being audited. No? Okay, well, now let's tell you what actually happened and how devastating some of those cuts were, let alone the fact that they were totally ineffective. So Elliot, tell us about it.
Yeah, so we have 3 stories here kind of in one, and altogether they raise one question, which is how is that whole Doge thing working out for us nowadays? Spoiler alert, not very well. And we're gonna dive into it, okay? So it's gonna be depressing, and we're gonna just barrel through it because what isn't these days? All right, so we can start with some good news. The flesh-eating New World screwworm fly has been fully eradicated from North America thanks to a decades-long program that has left us and our food supply far safer. Wait, what's that? And it's back. After being gone for about half of a century, using an international effort that took a lot of coordination and maybe a little bit of money. As of today, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has issued an updated disaster declaration due to the flesh-eating flies return. Excellent stuff. The potential damage to the cattle industry, which by the way supported Trump in the last election, could go as high as $2.1 billion. It could also harm the hunting and wildlife industry up to $9 billion, and that's just in Texas alone. But don't worry, or so says the USDA. The USDA said it was taking immediate action to eradicate the parasitic fly by establishing a 12-mile infested zone around the detection site and implementing quarantines, increasing traps for screwworms along the border, and establishing an incident command team with the Texas Animal Health Commission. Now, the only thing that they seem to be forgetting here, as the folks at the Daily Cause pointed out, is that none of this needed to happen at all. The return of this flesh-eating screwworm fly that, by the way, differs from a lot of its relatives because it actually goes after living flesh, which is gross, but it is true. So just throwing it out there. It is all the result of the Doge stuff. So Jeremiah Schofield, a 25-year social, that was that. Yeah, so that's about as horrible as things are gonna get. Oh wait, no, it does get worse. Jeremiah Schofield, a 25-year Social Security veteran, has blown the whistle on a Doge-backed plan to declare 2.7 million living human beings legally dead. So that means no bank accounts and no wages and no benefits, nothing. And why is that? Well, according to Schofield, the goal was to intimidate immigrants into self-deporting or have them go to a Social Security office so they can prove that they're alive, at which point they would be arrested. So really good moral high ground. How does the whistleblower know that this is the plan? Because one of the Doge officials literally said so on a phone call. But as Schofield sampled these 2.7 million people, every one of around the 25 of them that he sampled turned out to actually be alive. Some were US citizens, others were here legally, some were teenagers, and one was a widow who almost had her survivor benefits get cut off. And I say almost because thankfully the plan never fully carried through. But Schofield hopes that the whistleblowing will show Americans how easily government data can be abused. So that's about all the bad news. Oh wait, no, it gets even worse. So per The Intercept, as an Ebola outbreak continues to rage in Central Africa, the Trump administration keeps trying to blame the World Health Organization, revealing what experts say is a deep misunderstanding about global disease response. Experts say Trump administration policies like dismantling the US Agency for International Development and withdrawing from WHO have undermined global health security and negatively impacted the response to the outbreak. Also, the Trump administration is barring some US officials from even communicating with their counterparts at the WHO. So, just to recap, we have the return of a flesh-eating fly that we got rid of over 50 years ago. We have a government who has no problem declaring that 2.7 million people are ghosts, and a country on the other side of the world is in very high need of our assistance that we were giving them very recently, but now apparently simply can't find the money. And all of this was to reduce the deficit by nothing. So, Cenk, what do you make of all this?
Yeah, before we get to the things they could have cut, so let's remember the things they used to say. Like, there's all these stupid projects, like, this on the screwworm fly. Why do we care about the screwworm fly? Well, you left out the part where it's flesh eating. And you left out the part where it would cost us billions of dollars. Okay, it turns out, yes, sometimes you need to research a screwworm fly, even if it sounds funny. Okay, now it sounds less funny when you realize its formal name, which you're seeing on the screen there. It's a flesh-eating cock, Leomia.
Oh God.
Hominivorax.
Oh.
Okay. So when you put it that way, no, I don't want it. Let's do some research on that and make sure it doesn't come back. Okay. So then on Social Security, you guys remember they're like, oh, we found millions of people who are getting payments that shouldn't be getting payments. We found it, waste, fraud, and abuse. You remember that? That was a real story. It turns out they were planning to lie about it so they could screw over immigrants. And by the way, later go, oh, we gotta cut Social Security. I mean, tax cuts for the rich. No, we need that. We need that for Elon Musk, who's running this program, etc. But Social Security needs to cut because there's millions of people who are getting it who aren't alive. It turns out they were alive. And lastly, what do we need to help the UN for, the World Health Organization? Who are they? Oh, no way, we're not gonna give money to that. Oh, Ebola's back. Oh, that's why we were giving to that organization. Oops. We told you, Brett.
It's so bad.
It's so bad.
There's Ebola, dude. Like this is a disease, right? Like I have a lot of different kinds of friends, different parts of the political spectrum. They're all living different lives all over the place. But like the Spencer Pratt, the DOGE, it's like it is the Dunning-Kruger effect in action. They haven't considered, like, if your plan is to just declare a bunch of people dead, so they'll just show up and admit, got me, you might just be an idiot. Like, that's a dumb plan. Like, you could spend a little money to make it so I'd call them high, but like a flesh-eating bacteria is exactly the kind of thing that a high person is paranoid of. But like these guys are like, just let's get rid of all the funding for it. And all of these horrible things are back. And all of the ideas and pitches, they are 100% what it feels like when a moron thinks he's had a great idea. Like, yes, it is a simple idea, but simple is a synonym for idiot. Like that person, like these are not how you solve the problems. And the worst part is the last thing they will ever do is ask someone who knows the answer.
Yeah, the normalization of like anti-expertise and like academia more specifically, but just having people in charge who have studied this stuff for years and know what they're doing is a really good thing. Like people spend their lives studying these things. Why not use their knowledge to benefit the rest of us rather than have this chainsaw dude running around on stage going, I know, we can just go through. Also, this is like a 22-year-old, these are the 22-year-old like DOGE employees who are just going through going, nope, no thank you. And having no concept of how the government works, having no concept about how these programs programs work. The whole reason that we were able to get rid of this flesh-eating screwworm fly is because we figured out over decades using or working with other nations that if we just release a bunch of sterile male flies, then the female flies will, because they only mate once, will mate with them, no babies, and then they will eventually cause a population decline. That program was cut as a result of DOGE. So this is just another example of how all this stuff is coming back to haunt us.
But what's crazy, like that's a good idea that sounds crazy.
Yeah, but
like
exactly.
Like guys, just the truth is fascinating. The science is great. But I watched these videos of like, I hate to say it, Sean Ryan, Joe Rogan. Like, yes, these are guys, they're sophomores. They're wise fools. That is what the word means. You just think you're so smart and you have all the trappings of wisdom because you're sitting there and you're like, I mean, I did all the work. I did all the reading. I did my research. And I think science is wrong. It's like, yes, you did deliver that with a gravelly voice while stoned or thinking you're so smart and like, you don't understand that you're in a position of privilege to do that because previous generations of scientists did the actual work. You were born on third base, thought you hit a triple. And like, we need to be in the rooms with those guys now more than ever to just like be like, but look at this. I love when I see like you go in those rooms and Neil deGrasse Tyson go in those rooms and kind of talk them out off the cliff of like, but I did get an Instagram video.
Yeah. So last things here, first Ronnie Chang has a hilarious line about that. He's like, now all of a sudden the D students are like, I got this on the science. Yeah, no, bro, leave it to the nerds, okay? So now look, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge populist and oftentimes the elites are plenty educated, smart, etc., and then manipulate the rules on their own behalf and not on our behalf. So we're perfectly aware of that and we're on the lookout for that. But the scientists working on the flesh-eating screwworm fly are not in that group. Like they're making like barely middle class guys. These aren't the guys up top with all the money. So you gotta know when to do. And now speaking of the people with all the money, just real quick examples. Look, Biden gave Israel $21 billion to commit a genocide. And then Trump gave them another $13 billion to continue the genocide and the wars, etc. And they're like, oh, research that could prevent Ebola that costs a couple of $1 million. We gotta cross that out. Oh, we wanna pay for a genocide? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, that's not waste, fraud, or abuse. Okay, put that aside. The oil subsidies. This is how you know DOGE was utter horse crap. You couldn't find $35 billion in oil subsidies? Where did we put the $35 billion? Where did we could have eradicated tons of diseases from this planet for $35 billion a year. And those are going to the most profitable companies in the world. But right, they were huge donors to Donald Trump and his campaign. So they're gonna keep on getting that gift for free. All of DOGE didn't get us $35 billion. All they could have done was just cut those subsidies and we would have been 1,000 times better off. We're not against cutting out waste, fraud, and abuse. We would love it, but it's gotta be actual waste, fraud, and abuse and not science. All right, we gotta come right back.
I hate flies.
All right, hey, we're back. So let's go and read more blind comments. Progress for All on TYT.com said, I've said this before, but imagine if Iran promised to give 10% of their sanctioned funds to Trump upon release, this war would be over in an hour. That doesn't quite take care of the blackmail, but I hear you, and that, I mean, if Israel doesn't have anything else on Trump, that definitely gets the deal done. You know what you do? You go, forget 10%, that's a lot of money. 1%, he's still gonna be spectacularly rich. And we rename it the Strait of Trump, okay? And that'll definitely do it. But I'm not sure anything can end this war at this point. All right, Cabbage writes in, the ballroom should also convert to a UFC arena, which would get more use. Well, that's true. It would. And I'm worried about giving them ideas. All right, Bubba Franks says, oh no, I read that already. Let's go to Rad Rocket on Twitch. I think it should be the other side turn to be horrified. What if we were all shameless about stuff we posted 10 years ago? Yeah, no, look guys, that's the downside of TYT not having much money. That's the only downside though. No, there's a lot of downsides. Well, my God, if we had the kind of money to do investigative reporting, oh, you'd like to look into Graham Platner? No problem. I'd like to look into Susan Collins. I'd like to look into John Fetterman. I'd like to look into a lot of folks that never, ever, ever get looked into, right? And funny enough, when Fetterman was pretending to be a progressive, a little bit more looking into. Now that he's an establishment clown, no looking into. No look here, okay? All right, I'm already out of time. We'll be back.
I love cows. I hate flies.
All right, back on TYT, Cenk, Brett, and Elliot with you guys. In fact, no vitriol here. Thank you for the super chat. Wrote in, okay, you three kids, bring me the most joy this week. Nothing like having Brett and Elliot bring Cenk into the circle of making the worst horror film in history become the best comedy same day. All right, we really appreciate you guys. In fact, speaking of joy, look at this twisty twist. Freaky Friday over here. Not only is the power panel back, but we're gonna do Operation Joy afterwards. What? And it's free and available to everyone. So check that out or stay right here. But Ellie's, no, I have one more story. Here we go.
This man spent his life collecting what's now known as the world's largest Lego Star Wars collection ever. It's estimated to be worth around $200,000. And then the entire thing got stolen. And the police are actively working with the thieves to cover the entire thing up. But the craziest part is that the collector doesn't even know that his collection's been stolen. Yeah, the collector's son, Brian, well, he reached out to me because he has no clue how to break this news to his dad.
At this point, my father had a health episode. We can't bring any stress to him.
The reason he's reaching out to me is because the police are covering this entire thing up.
Wow, what a hell of a story. And this is affecting me personally because I've been Legofied. So it feels a little personal to me. But let's find out, why in the world are the cops covering up this crime? Elliot, tell us.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on with this story right now. I will say I was up till like 1 a.m. last night. I was unfamiliar with it and I was watching every video about it, and it is insane. So I'm gonna try to run through as quickly as possible the abbreviated version courtesy of 404 Media. Bricks and Minifigs is a chain of independent Lego stores that has a series of franchises around the country. A thing that at least some Bricks and Minifig stores do is consignment. That it will be very important later. In 2023, a man named Ed Mansell and his son Brian asked a Bricks and Minifig store in Salem, Keizer, Oregon to sell their collection of Lego bricks, which according to the store itself was worth over $200,000. It was a Star Wars Lego set. Brian did have a contract with the store saying specifically, quote, consigned merchandise shall remain property of Mansell until sold. The store began to sell this collection, but then the owner of the franchise changed hands and was taken over by Bricks and Minifigs Corporate. At this point, Brian attempted to either get the unsold portion of his collection back or money for the collection. Brian apparently was told to pound sand. Now, there is also even more drama between like the executives and the original owners, but we don't have time to get into that right now. They have their own lawsuit going. Brian did not want to get his father involved in this debacle since he's dealing with some serious medical issues. So, after a few months of dealing with this on his own, Brian enlisted the help of a YouTuber named Ben Schneider, otherwise known as Reckless Ben. Schneider basically did a series of wacky but also funny things to draw attention to the matter, which included putting a giant sign on the shuttered Bricks and Minifig store in question that read permanently closed. We stole a family's life savings. They sued, we lost. By closing the store, we got out of having to pay the family what we owe them. And additionally, as part of all of this, Schneider went to Bricks and Minifig's headquarters in Utah in March, as well as the home of one of its executives. Schneider was arrested by American Fork, Utah police and charged with stalking and targeted residential picketing. Local news reported he was also separately arrested in American Fork on charges of disorderly conduct and criminal trespass. So, With this, Reckless Ben was apparently trying to serve the executives with legal papers, according to ABC4. But this is where things get a little crazy, because the police who arrested Ben are also in cahoots with Bricks and Minifigs to stop that from happening. No. It just keeps going, folks. Since his arrest, Schneider has posted multiple videos of the situation, including a video that contained police body-worn camera footage of his interactions with American Fork Police. He accused American Fork Police of misconduct and acting on behalf of the franchise executive, and his videos have garnered substantial public attention, leading to many citizens also questioning AFPD's actions in this situation. Now, if you get a chance, also you should definitely look up the statement that was made by the police department if you're looking for a good laugh these days. Now, according to Schneider, he believes the police are protecting the new owners and the executives due to a shared connection with the Mormon church. There's a little rumor going around that they're all essentially protecting each other. All of this has ultimately accumulated into a massive lawsuit filed by the corporate franchisor against Reckless Ben and Brian for harassment and extortion, with the company saying the two are trying to, quote, defraud and manipulate the company. And now Reckless Ben has apparently fled to Mexico, where he is in, as one does, following a no bail arrest warrant issued by the Fork Police Department. So that's a very Cliff Notes version. Everybody's talking about it. If you haven't seen it, you gotta check it out. It's absolutely insane. It's spanned years. It's been going on for a while, and it's all because of a Star Wars Lego set ostensibly worth over $200,000. What do you guys make of any of this?
Elliot, I just mainly have a question. What do you think? Why don't they just give him his money back?
You know, the more you dive into this, the deeper it gets. I think I think the company's not doing well, but there's also, I heard some kind of rumor about there being like potentially some narcotic use, and that they were using or like siphoning off the collection. I'm on the subreddit about it now, so I'm too deep in. Yeah, okay. If we got 4 hours, I will dive into all the nuances. But like, yeah, there might be some, and also, there's a discrepancy about if you just purchase a consignment store and it changes owners, do you somehow get like everything that's in the consignment store? And throughout the whole process, they were like, well, of course, you know, it's still gonna be the property of the person who owned it and who signed the contract, which they said now is null and void. And now you have a YouTuber hiding out in Mexico to protect himself. It's really incredible.
Okay, here's what I do know. Number one, the thing about the Mormons trope. Number two, when you have a contract with a consignment store or anything else, and they sell the store, those contracts are not null and void. That's not a thing. Otherwise, you'd sign a bunch of contracts, set up a store, and then go, I sold it to my friend for $1. Now I have all of it. That's not that part is definitely wrong. Brett, what do you think?
If you pay full price for all the stuff in the consignment store, it's the same as going into the consignment store and buying all the stuff there.
That's a great way to put it. You need to make a video about this. This could be your.
Listen, I don't want to go to Mexico.
I mean, on that note, I will say, just in terms of like YouTube, it was kind of refreshing to see a guy making this kind of content, because Reckless Ben, for all his credit, I'm like, okay, the kids are gonna be all right. So we have that going for us at least, and good luck to everyone who needs their Star Wars Legos back.
Yeah. All right. We gotta go. So when we come back, right here on YouTube, Operation Joy.
I don't know why you're laughing.
Washington.
Hey guys, we're back. Operation Joy right here on TYT. Cenk Uygur, Brett Ehrlich, Elliot Morgan. So I was telling Elliot, who hasn't done this before, this is where we try to spread a little joy in the world because we're nuts. Why not? Okay, there's a flesh-eating screwworm that's spreading disease across the world. So why don't we? Spread a little joy instead and see what happens. His face is terrifying.
That was nuts. Yeah, part of the story was crazy.
Somehow it being yellow instead of black is more terrifying.
Yeah, you can see it more like,
yeah.
It looks like it's sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I don't like when the name of the animal is just two different animal names put together. Like worm, fly, like it's screw, worm, fly.
Yep.
Really great stuff.
Yeah, that's it. And I don't know why, but I do know why, because it reminds me of the movie Fly, because where a fly and a human were put together. So if you take a screwworm and a fly, it's gonna be flesh eating.
Yeah. Other ones I'm thinking of like kangaroo rat.
Oh, I don't know that.
Oh, that's like kind of mean to say to a rat.
In my backyard, we have alligator lizards. You heard of that? Yeah.
I do know what those are.
Yeah.
Are they huge or no?
They're normal size until you get to their tail, and then it just goes off the rails.
Oh my God.
It's really great.
We have outdoor cats, but it's okay.
Oh, that's good.
They're feral, and we just kind of give them a home in our house for that reason. Because wifey does not like anything that's too long. Like she doesn't like snakes, she doesn't like lizards, she doesn't like dachshunds.
I get it.
She's
just
like
the
that,
idea of elongation.
like a dachshund walking across the street in front of the car. She's just like, I can't look at that. So,
but I
killed them for that reason.
I get it. There's something unnatural about a dachshund. Every time I see one too, I'm not like freaked out by it, but I'm like, unnatural.
I like corgis. I'm not a huge dachshund fan because corgis have enough fur around them that you can't really tell. Dachshunds have like a muscular kind of like
they have
a whole body. It doesn't make sense.
But the corgi is also a little unnatural.
Oh,
There's something in me that it goes.
Dude, that's how bored people used to be before Xbox. Like let's take generations to make this a long dog.
We've put that together naturally.
Yeah, that dog's kind of long. That dog, let's make them fall in love.
I mean, look, the humans are so trippy, man.
So weird.
Like so I read this a long time ago and I got obsessed with it, right? That there was 3 main predators on planet Earth about 100,000 years ago.
I love these stories. I love it when it starts like
humans, Neanderthals, and wolves.
Yes.
Right? And we made an alliance, not with the Neanderthals that were like 99.999% us, but with the wolves. And actually, now that I think about it for a second, it makes sense because the Neanderthals are smarter and problematic. Like those guys could win, whereas the wolves aren't gonna win. We're gonna figure it out, right? So we're like, hey, high five, you want an alliance? And we did, and we ganged up on the Neanderthals and wiped them out, right? Except some percentage of Eastern Europeans still have a little bit of Neanderthal.
Yes.
So
I love the interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's like, there was a time when Neanderthals were considered the dumb ones, and then they found out that was Europe. So suddenly they were really smart.
That's really funny.
The science changed all this.
Science is like, these Neanderthals, there's something to them. There's really something to them because they're like my ancestors.
So we're gonna get to these joyous comments in a second, but history gives me joy and all of this gives me joy. So we'll keep going on it. So the original barbarians were Germans, okay? But now when you think barbarian, you like, at least for me, I don't know if it's because I'm Turkish and I've been overly sensitive to it, but Middle Eastern, Turkish, Muslim, etc. How did that switcheroo happen?
When I think of barbarian, that was like because they had beards. That was the thing. And then, anyone who has a horde, you have the Mongols, the Turks. You gotta. There's a lot of flat land, and you gotta just kill everyone on it. That's what it is historically. That's a barbarian. But yeah, now it's like
there's a lot of land.
But what's funny, it's like, oh, we gotta conquer this land.
We gotta go get them.
But I love that the Germans are the barbarians, and now they're like, well, we will make the trains go very faster on time. They're very meticulous timekeeper maintainers.
It is funny, you're right. Like the barbarians became the engineers. Yeah. It's almost as if the Romans, who are way more powerful and controlled the media at that time, called them the barbarians, when in fact it was the Romans who was kicking the living crap out of everyone and taking their land, etc.
Barbarian propaganda going around.
Anti-barbarian propaganda.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you know who we screwed over the most as a species is the wolves. The reason I started telling the story is, oh, come on, let's do a partnership. Let's kill the Neanderthals. It'll just be us. And then later we will turn you into our servants.
Yeah.
I love that. But then again, if you think about dogs, the wolves are like, we will enter into this bargain.
I think it was a two-way street for sure. Yeah.
As long as my descendants can sleep all day on the couch. This seems like a
well, that's a fair point. And from here on out, you will feed us and pick up our poop.
Yes, that's true.
We'll win in the end. We'll get you.
Yeah, and the humans are like, it's a little bit rough, but yeah, that'll be the grandkids. That's fine. Okay, we got bigger problems here. These Neanderthals are way smarter than we thought. They're European.
Here's some kibble.
All right, now let's read your comments. So these come from tyt.com/joy. Don Dada Dragon said, my joy was that this weekend I got to go hiking with my coworker. I didn't know this, but he apparently had a heart transplant years ago. He used to not drive because he would get so scared that his heart would get too excited and he would pass out. Well, Saturday he climbed 3,000 feet in just 3 miles. Proof that strong mind plus a strong heart can do anything. Keep fighting, TYT. And he put a picture of them hiking along the way here. Dude. And Don Data Dragon always has these lovely pictures he sends it. Okay, so one of the things about one of the rules of Operation Joy is low bar. What that means is, if you have a lot of expectations, well, you're gonna keep getting disappointed. In fact, the way that I phrased it about a month ago is, the old question of is the glass half full or half empty? There's actually, I think there's an empirical answer to that. It's half full because the glass is not owed the water, right? If it's got half a cup of water, congrats, you got half a cup, right? So only your expectation is that it should be a full glass of water. So in the case of my friend who had heart issues, he got a stent put in. And then he was, walking around and trying to get healthier, and he's like breathing really hard, etc. So he goes back in and he's like, I don't know what's going on. And it turns out they're like, oh yeah, we totally screwed it up. You need 4 stents. And that stent had already broken and you were nearly dead. And so you can look at that and go, holy cow, they nearly killed him with that incompetence. And now he's got 4 stents in his heart, etc. Or you could look at it, hey, caught it in the nick of time and he's not dead, right? So half full.
I feel like I could say a glass is half empty and still be happy. Because I've had that much liquor. Like, philosophically, I think the answer is what are we focusing on? Because like if I need gas in the tank and it is and the emptiness is galloping apace, then I need to focus on how empty it is. But I can still be happy that I drove that far. Like, there's ways to do it. I feel like, and I know that's just like a full philosophical thing, but like my favorite glass is half empty thing in the world is Kirk Cousins.
Oh, well, I don't know this, and I love any Kirk Cousins story. I'll tell you one in a second.
Kirk Cousins now the Raiders, maybe backup, maybe lead quarterback. He's brought in to mentor the Fernando Mendoza. So Kirk Cousins, when I was watching like where that one Liev Schreiber, the like Hard Knocks. Yeah. So this guy is like he's very religious and he's like, I'm only on this earth for so long. So what he did is, this is crazy, and it might be glass half empty, might be glass half full, but he outside his front door has a glass cylinder full of rocks. They're all vaguely the same size. And he's like, what is the average human lifespan? How many months is that? For every month in the average human lifespan, I will put one of these similarly sized rocks in the cylinder. And every month that passes, I will take one out. So when I go into my house, I will have a visual representation of how much life I have left if I were to live the average lifespan. To put it in perspective, and I think about that once every 3 weeks.
So, well, it will tie into my Kirk Cousins story, and then I'm curious what Elliot thinks of all that. So, for those of you who don't know, Kirk Cousins is as he described, an NFL quarterback, but he's traveled around a lot, gotten paid a ton of money for being a generally average quarterback, okay? And so sometimes he's great, but most of the time he's average and he always flames out.
And a square. He's basically a square. He's not like the guys like, all right, let's hang out and have a good time. He's like, that was a well-run route.
Yes, I appreciate it and the Lord appreciates it, right? And then he like got a little bit of fame, extra fame, because he was after some victories. He was like rapping or something, put on big chains. So it was funny. It's like when a grandma raps, that's funny. When Kirk Cousins raps, that's funny, right? So, but me and my son were watching Quarterback. I think that he was featured in. It was at one of these shows, maybe Netflix. And he has a memory room. And to me, it explained everything about Kirk Cousins. Now, number one, I love the idea of a memory room. Don't get me wrong. I have nostalgia boxes, I have nostalgia folders. So I'm a memory room. If I had as much money as Kirk Cousins, I'd do a whole room. Yes, no question, right? So I already love that part. But when he goes in the memory room, he thinks about the games he lost. And I'm like, oh, dude, of course you're obsessed with losing. That's why you flame out, right? Because it's always in your head and you're so worried about it. I'm like, no, you're ruining the memory room. You're supposed to go in the memory room and have good memories. Otherwise, it's pointless.
Memory half full, not memory half empty.
Exactly.
Everybody knows.
It's kind of a torture room.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, he's had other pleasant parts of it too. And
he's got a room specifically for torture.
I mean, most of those guys who are like, the Lord thanks you for this route, usually have people locked up in the basement, right? But, okay, what'd you think of the Rock thing?
That is nice. I don't know that I want to be reminded all the time about like mortality. I feel like as I get older, it kind of comes a little more naturally. But I do like the idea of being able to put things in perspective. You know, Plotinus once said, "No man steps into the same river twice." I just wanted to throw that there because I thought it sounded like we were throwing out deep things. But that makes me happy, and I think that you can have the glass half full, whatever. The tank is a great way to kind of translate that analogy because, like, you're going to be panicking the more it goes down, and you're not going to be very thankful when the little light starts coming on. Also, one thing that does bring me joy is that show Hard Knocks. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Liv Schreiber on that. The way he talks to athletes throughout it is some of the most awkward exchanges I've ever seen in my life because you can tell Liv Schreiber's like an actual actor, and even though he plays like a tough guy, when he's actually around athletes, it is incredibly uncomfortable, and that brings me joy.
The Jets season, I think he was there.
That's what it was.
That was when he like showed up at camp and like actually he was no longer just like.
I couldn't make it through it. It physically hurt me because of how uncomfortable. I was like, I can't.
So two things about that, and I'll get back to the comments maybe. So Liev Schreiber, mainly known for playing Ben's grandfather.
Oh, in
RKO 281. Yeah. So he was one of the first guys to play Ben Mankwitz's grandfather, Herman Mankiewicz, in one of the movies before they did Mank on Netflix.
Right, that's what those.
And that season of Hard Knocks, I had the great misfortune of watching on the Jets one. Made me draft a couple of Jets, which is a terrible mistake, which you should never do in fantasy football. It's never gonna work out. It doesn't matter how good they are. They're on the Jets. It's not gonna work, okay? So
You like that? You like that?
Is that Kirk Cousins?
That was Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
Real fast, Jake. I have to correct you, unfortunately. Liev Schreiber played Citizen Kane in RKO 281. John Malkovich played Mankiewicz.
Oh, you're right. I knew I was screwing it up. Nice job, Bart.
I can't believe Bart had a movie fact.
Yeah, that's the most believable thing in the world. But I will tell you, I'm glad you reminded me, Bart, because I've been meaning to give Bart credit and maybe give him a little bit of joy right now. Because when I was, before I went to the UK, he said, man, if I could, I'd go on like Polymarket or something and bet that they won't let you in the country. How did he
really say that?
Oh, yeah.
He did.
Dude.
Yeah. How's that, man?
Bart's the one betting on the war stuff. Bart's the one like, I got a feeling,
pay the
but he
rent.
knows.
Come on, guys.
Bart works at the Home Secretary's office in the UK.
Imagine
he's in MI6.
You like that?
So good.
Imagine Bart made the bet, and then he's like, I do declare we have a bit of an issue with this Segwiger.
Bart goes home.
Okay, Bart's got a killer British accent.
Well, also I watch a lot of BBC, so that kind of gave me a clue that if you're going to make it back home or not. But I have to correct you once again. When I had that discussion with you, I heavily emphasize that if you do go to Britain, you're not coming back.
Well, we might find out.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, so I'm not going to Britain, but I'm going somewhere else. We're going to find out if I can come back. So Bart, don't make any more bets. Okay. All right, let's go to Ali Pat. She says Suki loves TYT, and then you think that's cute. So, there's Suki.
Is that really a photo? Did you? A human took a photo of that, not a photographer. Like, that looks like I would buy it on a calendar.
Yeah, that looks like a photo that comes in a frame before you put your actual photo.
And you feel bad because it's like, this is just
a really nice photo.
So Ali Pat, how's that for your joy of the week? Your photo was so good, we question whether you're a human. Okay. Oh, by the way, the Kirk Cousins thing that I asked Elliot about with the bowl and or whatever, the glass thing with the rocks in it, I love it. Because you got to remember, man, like we forget that we're alive and that it's going to run out at some point, right? Don't get freaked out by the fact that it's going to run out at some point. Get obsessed with the fact that you're alive now. Like,
do you think they'll turn it into an urn when? Like, because that could also be, just to recycle.
And then put it in the memory room.
Yeah, exactly. And then you feel sad in there. It's a perfect
And every week they pick up the urn and go, remember when you lost this game, Kirk? Fumble.
All right, Theater Goddess writes, Member Mondays brings me joy. It's great to put a voice to the comments that I read in the member section and know that I'll be reading them in your voice from now on. Boomer Dragon Cat may not like public speaking, but hearing her speak made me happy. No, I'm right there with you. I love hearing what you guys sound like. And it was nice to hear Cat the other day. Cat writes in all the time, so it was great. And our plan is if there's some sort of Armageddon kind of situation, we're going to Cat's farm. So, I mean, I'd love to tell you where it is, but I can't.
No,
you know what I'm saying? So maybe when we do members only. All right, the One True Coffee Dragon writes, and when talking about how she approaches difficult people, my wife says she always thinks of the old story about warm sun and the cold wind. She thinks that if you want to succeed, it starts with approaching people the right way. When our 5-year-old kept demanding snacks on the way home from preschool, she didn't just say no. She drew a weekly calendar, practiced the Japanese Days of the Week song with him, and he used it to walk him through the snack schedule until he got it and felt like he was able to agree on his own terms. Wow, that is a lot of work, but I like it. That's a wonderful way to teach things. He continues, she genuinely believes even the hardest hearts can be reached that way. Yes, even Trump. Obviously, I have my doubts that her philosophy can work on everyone, but I respect the conviction, and I think the world is better for having people like her in it. Speaking for myself, at least, knowing her has made me more open to trying things her way. I remembered when Anna first shared Michael Brooks' idea about fighting the system while feeling compassion for the person. It reminded me of what my wife has been trying to teach me all this time. So part of this post is about thanking Anna for sharing her friend's message and Cenk for trying to build relationships with people we've been taught never to engage with. I tell my wife my epiphany myself, but she usually just rolls her eyes and feels annoyed that I'm making a big deal out of it. But I think she'd still approve. Well, on your wife's behalf, nice observation about your wife. That's really sweet.
Really sweet.
Yeah, and I like it.
Beautifully written.
Yeah. I tried around the edges with my kids too. I'm Tom Massey at the house, meaning I'm Dr. No, right? So Joy is already a shopaholic at 13. And so in the old days, you had to go to the mall and it was like a thing and you had to get your parents to drive you. And then you had to look at things and figure out what you wanted and maybe you get them next week. Now, because of Amazon, she's like, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. And she gave me a list or gave us a list of like 64 things she wanted. And Wendy, my wife, was like, maybe 5. I was like, I'm going for 0. Okay, no, I'm not gonna buy you 64 things from Amazon. And then she's like, all right, I'll whittle it down. She came back with 29.
That's a lot of things.
Okay.
Still too many things.
And I'm like, look, I'm Dr. No, you're not gonna get a yes out of me. Go, filibuster your mom or something, work on that, okay? But so the reason I tell you that is because I like Mrs. One True Coffee Dragon. I go, look, if you want something from me, you're gonna have to give me something, okay? And so money. No, I'm kidding. Like
start at the top.
Like give me, read something. I'll give you, something for every chapter you read, etc. So at least I feel a little bit better that you're getting something out of it. So
wealthy Muslim.
One day, cross your fingers.
This is from The Tempest. This is from the play The Tempest. Too light the winning makes the prize light. If it's too easy to get the thing,
nice.
The prize is not that light.
That's a good quote. Yes,
I like that one.
Yeah.
It's just Shakespeare. And thanks largely to my lifelong quest to make my wife find me even less sexually attractive, just through Shakespeare quotes. She hates them, and that's all I have.
I don't know why you're laughing.
I love Coffee Dragon. Next time we'll do it. Coffee. Next time I'm in your hometown, we are gonna go meet up at the. Let's go to the space station. Let's have some really strong Jack and Cokes. We got to plan that next time. Lives in Japan. I'm not gonna say where, but really great suggestions. I reached out a long time ago. Got suggestions. I think we still do some of them when we go, and so that's great. I love coffee.
That's awesome. So yeah, by the way, though, that light quote, that's exactly why I'm Dr. No. Because I know that eventually we're gonna get them something, right? We're not gonna get them the 64 or the 29 things, but we're gonna get them something. But I want them to struggle to get it so that they appreciate it when they get it. Yeah. If you say yes right away, it makes the prize light. It really does. And to me, one of the things I try to teach the kids, there's two things I'm obsessed with the kids. One is curiosity. Yeah. I want them to have intellectual curiosity.
Best one, I would say.
Yeah, like why does that happen? Let's figure out, this and that, and where did it come from? History, science, why, right? And number two is empathy. Okay. But if I had to, not if I had to add a third, I will add a third. I can do whatever I want. Is appreciation.
That's all the time
oh damn it, we ran out. Okay,
we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, well, show half full. What are you gonna do? So no, appreciation, because when you appreciate something, and then now we're gonna go to your guys, what brings you joy in a sec. But one of the reasons I'm obsessed with appreciation is because what it does is when you appreciate something, you focus on it, right? Like, oh, I'm so glad I had whatever, right? The Jack and Coke, and we had such a great time that night. When you go back to appreciate it, you relive it in your mind, and you focus on it, and you think about why it made you happy, which then sets up like a cycle of happiness. So whenever you appreciate something, you're by definition happy in that moment, right? And you're happy that you lived the earlier moment. It's such a win-win. And in fact, when they did two different meta studies on what makes people the happiest, they came up with two conclusions, which then were later verified in almost every study that were done. One was appreciation, for exactly that reason, because it makes you focus on things that make you happy, and hence, by definition, makes you happier, right? And number two was connections to others. So friends, family. So if you had small amount of connections, that was not a great sign. Doesn't mean it's not definitive at all. It's giant span of human relations, and everybody's different. But if you had a lot of connections, that generally led you to being happier. Why? Because we're social animals and we need social interaction. It's literally in our genes, right? Okay, now, Elliot. Something that brings you joy.
Let's see. So recently, a couple things. My wife and I have discovered we rescued a dog after the LA fires. It was a foster fail, and we immediately took him in. He's very skittish, but I love him to death. Shout out to Broccoli, he's watching right now. He knows how to use the remote. We taught him. But what we found recently is that in the mornings, when I will hand my wife coffee, like I'll make it, and then I will walk in, and she'll still be in bed, he will come in and howl like a wolf. And now we've started howling with him at like 7 in the morning, and then he's caught on, and so we just become this like house of howling animals, and that makes me very, very happy. And also, my wife doesn't have cancer anymore, which she just found out.
Hey!
Still doesn't, I guess. Yeah.
That's great.
That's awesome.
See, I buried the lead.
Yeah, I mean, at like 2 hours and 25 minutes into the show.
I know.
And then what else? What else did I think of?
What else?
Not having cancer is a pretty good one.
And I had some great popcorn.
Yeah,
those two things, the popcorn, cancer free.
Okay,
that's
wait.
great. Oh, that makes me really happy.
Okay, so I've got to jump in on a couple of things. First, The main thing I got out of this is the minute Brett said popcorn, I was like, yeah, the good popcorn would be good. Like I'm instantly in the mood for popcorn. But seriously, you said a dog, rescue dog?
Yes.
Okay, and so then it made me think of the wolves. And they're like, guys, one day we'll get them howling like us. These guys are eating out of our hands. Yeah, let's make the deal. Screw over the Neanderthals. They didn't give a good enough deal.
I'm gonna start going to the bathroom in the backyard. I'm gonna like really go full bore with it.
Yeah, and is it called a foster fail when you foster a kitten or a puppy and then you adopt it because you couldn't give it back?
Apparently, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either because we're total foster failures. We've done it a couple of times.
Yeah, congratulations.
Oh, really? Meowsers is a foster fail. Yeah, and so Meowsers, by the way, speaking of half full, half empty. So this son of a gun keeps eating all the hair ties and the strings of my hoodie and the strings of any like bag we bring in. And then he vomits them out and we think he's gonna die and we take him to the emergency room, et cetera. So that's the the downside. The upside is that he doesn't die. In fact, that story, it happened again just the other day. And we take him to the vet and they're like, oh, it's $1,500 to do an x-ray.
Right.
And I'm like, but I already know stuff's in his stomach. That's why he's vomiting it out. And when he does, we see the strings and the hair ties, right? Like, and then I'm like, okay, we take it. And then let's say there's something in his stomach. What are our options? Well, either nothing and wait for him to, poop it out, vomit it out, or do a $15,000 surgery and open him up.
Well,
I'm like,
that's
no,
what you do.
No.
Yeah, I used to work at animal hospitals for like maybe 8 years or something, and I would do the estimates, and it would always be like, you have one estimate that's like, here's best case scenario, we're gonna send you on your way, and then the other estimate that is gonna ruin you financially for like 5 years. Not purposefully, but it is just like crazy expensive, but the disparity is wild.
So the reason we didn't do it, let alone the money, is that I'm like, they're gonna open him up? That's gonna kill him way quicker than whatever's in his stomach. Like there's no way I'm opening him up. And you know what happened? He came home and he was fine.
He's got it out.
Yeah, he had gotten it out.
Like, aren't cats supposed to not do that stuff? Cats are not supposed to eat dumb stuff.
They don't care about the rules, man.
But that's the thing.
Meowsers is a rebel.
Wife's always like, yo, the cats, the dogs, you have to worry about them eating marbles. Like they eat rocks. Like, yeah, I see this dog with it. We got a neighbor who has a dog. It's like, stop eating the rocks.
Yeah.
And then that's it, man. And like, and the dogs do that stupid stuff, and the cats aren't supposed to. Our barn cats are the thing that bring me joy. Chicken and Macy, they were insane. Chicken, so there's a place in the valley that's like we find these feral cats and we try to give them homes. But don't worry, and the plan they say is take them, we give you 2 of them, you put them in cages in your backyard and leave them there for 4 weeks and feed them every day at the same time. And then open the cage when the sun rises on the 4th week, and they should maybe stick around. But with chicken, they were like, this one is insane. He's probably gonna run away, but like we would have to destroy him because he's such a aggressive, angry cat. But wife is just amazing with that stuff. Chicken is now like the most docile, friendly, amazing cat. Still has like a weird vibe to him, but like these cats who would, Macy, Chicken was found in a coyote trap. Macy was found with like kittens under a house. And they were like, you will never be able to pet these cats. They will never like stick to one area you want them to, but they'll kind of stay in the vicinity. They live in the garage, they get pet. I've pet them and I don't do cats, but they're fantastic. They just come out, and when you get like a little pet of Macy Gorgeous and Chicken Boy, you're just like, I just succeeded today.
Yeah, the dopamine you can just feel. Yeah. I know with like our dog, it was they were like, this is a real rescue. Like this isn't like you're adopting and you're gonna feel good. It was like these dogs were found in a backyard, like with no food after 6 months or something.
Right.
And so now he's doing much better, but it's similar to what you're talking about, where like you're still a trash dog deep down. You know you came from nothing, and he's always gonna have a little weirdness to him, but I like it.
I had a rescue dog named Omi.
That's a great name.
Because I rescued him and he owes me.
Nice.
That's what we did. Omi dog.
Omi, your homie.
Omi, my homie. Yeah. Omi dog. I didn't even think about that.
So you had a cat named Chicken and Hassan had a dog named Fish.
Yep, that's funny. Wife comes up with really good names for animals. She's just like, you are Chicken and you are Macy. And you look at the animals and you're like, that is Chicken, that is Macy.
That does nail it.
But I like your name the most. wife.
Yeah.
Okay, the one you came up with. Okay, so by the way, Meowser's also, oh, you can't pet him. He's constantly scratching, biting, etc.
Meowser's a great name too. Just
Yeah,
great name.
But you know now we can pet him. He's like after a couple of years, he's like, fine, go ahead a little bit, but not too much. Okay, but the reason we kept him, and we had done like 1 million kittens as foster kittens before. We once did 6 at one time. But Meowser's is uncontrollable, and that's what we like about him.
Yeah.
Right? Like he does all these tricks and twirls, and he'll go on the kitchen floor and just start rolling. Like so sideways for no reason. He'll get up on his 2 feet and start dancing. Okay, like
awesome.
It's and then you're like, oh, that's so cool. You go to pet him, he's like, wow. And then we brought him home. He's fine. Immediately finds the shopping bag and he's like,
yeah, like the little string. We got like for 1 year we got plants from here, and I still kept them alive against all odds. And there's still like puncture marks in some of the leaves from 5 years ago when the other cat we had was biting on it. They just
take that into your memory room and you can remember all the good times.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys. So I need you to have a great weekend. How's that for? That's Lego me. I love that. By the way, that's another joy for me. I mean, getting Lego fantastic. It's beautiful.
You like that? You like that?
We do like that.
So now look, half glass half full, half empty. Well, I got banned from the UK, but they can't stop me from doing the Oxford Union, which is what we're gonna do tomorrow. So Saturday, it's 6 o'clock British Standard Time. What time is that in your neck of the woods? I don't know. I know I have to get on there at 10 o'clock Pacific. I don't, but you do the math. Anyways, I'm gonna tweet it out so you can look at my X account and you'll see it. But Hassan and I will do the Oxford Union speech unabated on tomorrow virtually, and partly because we, like Meowsers, are uncontrollable. Meowsers also banned from Britain. Very dangerous cat. Okay.
A lot going on. He said a lot of really questionable things.
Yeah,
Meowsers. Now he actually is a danger to the public order, to be fair.
That I would understand.
Yeah.
It's no public good.
We're out of time. Have a great weekend. Love you guys. See you Monday.
You like that?